So just to be able to like support our family, help our families, like it's really life changing. So just having the support, man, that means everything to me, and I know it means everything to us. So
this is the second straight edition of Slam Magazine that features a Lynx player. Napheesa Collier was the cover of Slam 257, and now Courtney T highlights Slam 258. You can read more about the Stud Buds being the newest faces of Slam Magazine at slamonline.com. But we've got WNBA basketball coming your way. Minnesota Lynx and New York Liberty are facing off at the Target Center. Sloan Martin will be on the other side of this break with lineups and tip-off. You are listening to the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
It's what you wait for all week. The three-pointers, the rebounds, the thrill of every shot. Win or lose, it's the hope that keeps you coming back. The dream that this time, it might be your year. And so you represent with anticipation and with pride. Because when the pressure's on, your support is everything. That's why the NBA store is here to support you. Check out the largest selection of official NBA gear at NBAstore.com. A Fanatics experience.
Hey, this is Napheesa Collier.
Hey, it's Courtney Williams.
This is Bridget Carlson.
Hi, it's Alana Smith.
And it's time
for Minnesota Lynx basketball.
It's time to roar. Minnesota Lynx basketball is brought to you by U.S. Bank, an official partner of the Minnesota Lynx, equal housing lender, member FDIC, and by Mayo Clinic. You know where to go. Let's head live to the arena. With the call of tonight's game, here's Sloan Martin.
With 5 days rest, the Minnesota Lynx again take on the New York Liberty in another highly anticipated matchup, aiming to win the season series of this 2024 Finals rematch. Hello and welcome from Target Center in downtown Minneapolis. Sloan Martin along with you. Thanks for spending some of your Saturday afternoon with us. The Lynx having one of the most dominant seasons in WNBA history. Not in recent history, not even in the last 15 years. We're talking WNBA history. They enter today at 27-5. That is tied for the second best 32-game start in league history. They have a 6-game lead over the second-place Atlanta Dream in the standings. Entering today, the Liberty are a half-game back in third. So the Liberty are a team coming into this matchup scratching and clawing, trying to get their way back to that second seed. Very tight in the standings between them and Atlanta. And Minnesota is actually going to be facing the Atlanta Dream in a couple games. They'll have 2 more in a row, including today against the New York Liberty to wrap up this season series. But Minnesota is 2-0 against this Liberty team this season, including one of their hallmark wins of the season, I think, on August 10th. Before this extended break for this team, they got 2 days off to start this week, 3 days of practice under their belt to integrate players like Dejanay Carrington, who is brand new to this team, brought in a mid-season trade. But it goes back to July 30th, Minnesota defeating the Liberty 100-93. And then, as I mentioned a couple days ago, 83-71 at Barclays Center in a packed and loud arena in Brooklyn, where Kayla McBride had 18 points, Dejanay Carrington 15 off the bench. The Lynx beating them for the second time this season. They were down by 7 points, 47-40, then went on a 24-7 run early in the third quarter, seized the control of that game. The bench outscoring the New York Liberty. The Liberty, one of the best in the league when it comes to their bench production, but Minnesota with the advantage in that category, 34-19. Didn't see Breanna Stewart, didn't have Napheesa Collier on the floor either, but it was an incredibly entertaining game, and one in which the Minnesota Lynx were able to come out on top based on their grit. Head coach Cheryl Reeves said, "This is a team that will bend but not break when it comes to how they're able to gut things out and really dig deep, especially on the road." Let's take a look at today's injury report, brought to you by Mayo Clinic, your source for medical answers for the New York Liberty from the last matchup. One new addition in Kennedy Burke, who is playing her second game after an 8-game absence. This New York Liberty team went 4-4 without her. She had a calf injury. This is a player in Kennedy Burke. We're going to see a couple of candidates for 6th Player of the Year on the floor today. Kennedy Burke is one of them. And of course, Natisha Heidemann and Jessica Shepard, also very strong contenders, all 3 of them in the WNBA. I think Burke also also probably deserves consideration for most improved player as well. And for the Minnesota Lynx, some positive news there with Napheesa Collier upgraded from out to doubtful. So she's in street clothes right now. She's not going to be playing in this game, but head coach Cheryl Reeve said she's on track and is coming close to her return. No set timeline on when that might be for the leading MVP candidate. This Minnesota Lynx team 3-0 in this latest absence. They have lost only one time, and this is her 7th overall game that she is missing this season. So Minnesota has been able to find a way to win without their star player. Let's take a look at our starting lineups for the Minnesota Lynx. Again, it is Jessica Shepard stepping in for Napheesa Collier. When Shepard is in the starting lineup, she is averaging nearly a double-double, just shy of 10 points and 10 rebounds per game. Kayla McBride, who is on an incredible hot stretch right now, the last 5 games since having a season-low 4 points against Atlanta, 18 points per game, 50% shooting, 53% from deep. Courtney Williams, Alana Smith, and Bridget Carlton. And for the New York Liberty, Leonie Fibish, Emma Miesemann, who has had back-to-back 24-point games. She is a huge factor and huge late addition to this team, averaging 16 points per game. Had her first double-double in now 6 games with the Liberty, most recently in their loss against Las Vegas. 24 points, 8 of 15 shooting, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists for her. Jonquel Jones, who the Minnesota Lynx have been able to kind of sequester inside and really prevent the ball getting inside to her. Only 14 attempts from the floor in 2 games against the Lynx. Sabrina Ionescu, who has a 30-point game under her belt in this matchup back on July 30th. And Natasha Cloud, who leads the WNBA in assist-to-turnover ratio. The Minnesota Lynx wearing their blue uniforms, and the New York Liberty here on the road in white. As we're about to get underway here at Target Center, it is Lynx Liberty round 3 officially underway, and that tip won by the Minnesota Lynx. It was Alana Smith and Jonquel Jones going up for it. Bridget Carlton is getting this team into their offense. Alana Smith has it outside the 3-point line. McBride, the ball in her hands now, being blanketed by Natasha Cloud. 1 dribble pull-up for Courtney Williams does not go just inside 3-point range. Williams in 2 games against the Liberty, just 4 of 21 from the mid-range. That's 19%. Normally her bread and butter was guarded last time by Natasha Cloud. Pick and roll. Fibish is going to miss right at the rim. That was a great setup by Natasha Cloud, but the miss on the interior. Still tied up at 0 here. Second possession of the game for the Minnesota Lynx as McBride works through a high screen from Emma Miesemann. They switch. Picks up her dribble. Shepard working from the perimeter now. Now down low to Alana Smith, one-on-one against Fibish. Skip past McBride. 5 seconds to shoot. Over. Jonquel Jones cans the 3. That's when you know she is feeling it, and early, one of the best 3-point shooters in WNBA history. She's now 4 away from reaching 700 threes. Only 7 players in WNBA history. She would be the 7th to achieve that. Stop on the other side. Minnesota one and done, limiting the Liberty on that last possession. They lead 3-0 here, 1 minute and 15 seconds into this contest. Williams wrapped up in a pick and roll. Almost loses the dribble, finds Bridget Carlton straight on for 3. She misses poorly, and a rebound over to Natasha Cloud, who speeds up the floor, crosses over Courtney Williams, a freight train going 94 feet, and she is fouled, and that might be going on Alana Smith. No, it's going to go on Carlton. So that is positive news for the Minnesota Lynx, who do not like to see Alana Smith get in that early foul trouble. And remember, Minnesota's still shorthanded in the front court, with Napheesa Collier missing her 4th consecutive game with that ankle sprain. So 2 shots coming up here for Natasha Cloud. Minnesota leading 3-0, 8:27 on the clock in the first quarter. And Cloud is good on the first. It is 3-1. Cloud this season, 90% from the free throw line. And she said, after that last loss at Barclays Center, she said, in the second half, we were stagnant. We played where we got Minnesota to call the first time out. That's the goal. But after that, it was a downshift from us. So that's why you're expecting this really ignited Liberty team, especially to start this game. 3-2 is Minnesota's lead. A Kayla McBride 3, accounting for that office switch. Courtney Williams is going to turn it over. She was being hounded there by Jonquel Jones. In transition, Ionescu, the trailer 3 is off target, and the rebound comes to McBride. Then she's wrapped up hard by Ionescu, hits the deck, back on her feet. No harsh feelings between those two, despite some boos coming down here at Target Center. And it will be Minnesota basketball leading 3-2, 8:03 to go in the first quarter. Still starters on the floor for both of these teams, and Courtney Williams getting back into the action. She's being guarded by Fibish, actually, the 6'4" player from Germany. Ionescu guarding Carlton, who throws it inside. Alana Smith, they did not catch her. She scores easily inside as Minnesota pounces on a defensive miscue by the Liberty. 5-2 is Minnesota's lead. Carlton tried to take a charge. It's going to open up Fibish for three, which she airballs, and it's going to be Minnesota basketball. Fibish has really struggled in this series. In 2 games this season, 6 points per game, 31% shooting, and 5 career games going back to last year, under 6 points, 36% shooting. Both of those the lowest versus any team in the WNBA. Minnesota back on offense again. Screen comes for Williams. She rejects it. She takes off to the rim, was throwing it over her head to Shepard. Shepard wasn't ready for it, but that would have been an easy 2 inside. That goes as a turnover for the Minnesota Lynx. Their third here today so far. 7:10 to go in the first quarter. Miesemann working from the high post against Carlton. Carlton trying to body her up. Miesemann's trying to back her down. She'll kick it out. Jones, pump fake, 1 dribble. She'll kick it out over to Miesemann. Glances at the clock. 3 seconds to go. Miesemann off target from just inside the free throw line, and Minnesota comes away with the basketball, leading 5-2 under 7 minutes to play in the first quarter. Williams directing traffic, trying to get a feel for things here, being guarded by Cloud, a 3-time all-defensive selection in the WNBA. Shepard rejects or fakes the handoff, still directing traffic with Jones on her. Alana Smith, good look at a 3, that's left short. Both these teams a little cold from long range, a combined 1 for 5 to start this game on both sides. These teams, the top 3-point shooting teams in the WNBA in terms of efficiency and production. Jones, the spin, and she plows her way to the rim. A smooth move by Jonquel Jones, who's just as dangerous from the perimeter as she is putting the ball on the deck. So versatile and talented is the 2021 MVP. 6 minutes to play. Slicing through the defense is Williams. Extra pass, McBride. Quick trigger 3 is no good, but 3 free throws coming up for Kayla McBride. Love to see that activity and confidence so early from McBride, who's going to have 3 free throws coming up. She's got 3 points. Alana Smith with 2. And Minnesota leads 5-4. So a little bit of a stunted offense on both sides, especially compared to what we saw at Barclays Center the last game. 9 lead changes in that first quarter. And McBride good on the first this season. Second to Sabrina Ionescu by 0.1 of a percentage point in free throw percentage. She's 75 for 80 coming into today, now 2 for 2, and has 1 more coming her way. It feels like a secret weapon. Well, it's not secret, but it is a weapon to have. Someone who is so good, so proficient from the charity stripe, like McBride, whether it is early in a game like this, where she's now up to 6 points, or late in the game to close things out. It is 8-4 Minnesota, 6 minutes to go in the first quarter as Cloud gets it over half court, surveying this offense. Ionescu, her second touch today. She's 0 for 1. Minnesota aggressive in that pick and roll. She tries to weave her way through. She is walled up inside. Cross-court pass now in the hands of Miesemann. She's stopped by Carlton. Carlton, excellent defense on Miesemann so far. A 3 on the way from Fibish is no good. And Minnesota comes away with the rebound, controlling the glass. New York, one of the poorest rebounding teams in the WNBA, as Courtney Williams knocks down the mid-range 2 exactly in rhythm. She's 1 for 2 to start this game. Now back on defense. Miesemann wants it in the post, being guarded this time by Shepard. It's Cloud for 3. That's off target. And a foul is going to go on Carlton, trying to box out Fibish. That's going to be her second. 5:18 to go in the first quarter. It looks like Dejanay Carrington is going to make an early entry into this game. Got a standing ovation in her Target Center debut. And you can feel the appreciation. So Carrington checks in 3 games with the Lynx. She's shooting 15 of 24. That's 63%, 5 of 8 from 3. She has been so strong coming into a brand new team, and it's felt like no transition at all. New York with the basketball. 5 seconds to shoot. Ionescu is going to put it up in the mid-range. That's no good. And a rebound to Jessica Shepard. She's off to the races here. She will snag a rebound and go in a hurry. She leaves it for Kayla McBride. Now to the other side of the floor. Slipping the screen is Smith. Williams for the free throw line. Delivers it down low into Smith. Smith powers it up. That's no good. Working the offensive glass. It's going to go off of Smith. And back to New York. Timeout called with 4:48 to play here at Target Center, Minnesota, with a 10-4 lead, clamping down defensively. The New York Liberty shooting just 1 of 9, 0 for 4 from 3 to start this game. Plenty more when we come back here on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
This is Nafisa Collier. What is your favorite sports memory as an athlete? I think my favorite sports memory would be winning my first gold medal, just because it's something that I've always dreamed about doing, something that you always picture, and then so to have that medal put around my neck, it was just the best feeling ever. If you could play another professional sport, which one would it be? Definitely volleyball. I love volleyball. That was easy. If you need one thing for the rest of your life, what would you choose? Okay, I have 2 answers. I feel like the first answer would be pasta, because there's so many different kinds of pasta. So that would probably be my answer. But also, I love African food called cassava leaves. It's my favorite food, and I could eat that for the rest of my life. If you had to cook one meal for your teammates, what would you make? I would actually not make a meal. I would make cookies. They're called ooey gooey butter cookies. They're delicious. Ooh, what's your favorite restaurant in the Twin Cities? Okay, I actually just found this place. It's called Pruvana. It's a Brazilian steakhouse. Delicious. So good. What is the last show or movie you watched? Severance. It's so good. Oh my gosh, everybody needs to watch that. What's your favorite hobby off the court? I really like reading. So I don't know if that counts as a hobby, but I really like reading. What's your favorite book or series? It's called Throne of Glass. It's a fantasy. She's it's magic and stuff like that. It's really, really good if you're into fantasy.
I think that's natural. It's you don't have to remind them something that happened a month ago. So that's a little bit easier from a scouting perspective, coaching perspective, for sure. It's always really interesting that you could play the same opponent 3 times and every game is really different. And so you don't know what today brings. We're sure it's not going to look exactly like the last game. That's one thing I can tell you, for sure. There will be differences, and what they are, obviously we're about to find out.
Head coach Cheryl Reeve talking there before this game. The second of 3 straight games against the New York Liberty, and kind of a scheduling quirk in this rematch of the 2024 WNBA Finals. No Nafisa Collier, no Brianna Stewart, who continues to be on track for a return this season. She has a knee injury, the 2-time MVP, out until at least late August. They're also playing out without Niara Sabally, who's been important for them off the bench. She last played on July 16th. But an interesting point there from head coach Cheryl Reeve, where especially with just the stature of both of these teams, not expecting the same, there will be adjustments because this feels like a series. It's set up like one. Carrington stays on the floor. 2 early fouls for Bridget Carlton. So an early entry for Carrington. Minnesota leads 10-4. 4:30 to play in the first quarter. Off balance is Maureen Johannes. I talked about this during the game at Barclays, where a normal shot for her is falling away. It is off 1 foot. It is off balance. There, just a little drive and pulls up near the second hash mark for 2. Carrington along the baseline shuffled it off to Jessica Shepard. She loses control of the basketball, tipped around again. Now 5 seconds to shoot. Cross-court pass. Alana Smith for 3. Not that time. And the rebound corralled by Phoebish. To start this game, the Liberty 2 for 10 shooting. That last bucket by Johannes was just their second field goal so far as they are cold. Here's Johannes again, letting it fly from 3. That's no good. And the rebound tracked down by Courtney Williams, who has her best rebounding games this season against the New York Liberty. You know, she's one of the best in the game at her position doing that. Also with the mid-range, count it! Courtney Williams in her perfect spot, a couple feet inside three-point range, knocks it down, plus the contact, and it's a three-point play opportunity coming up for the Minnesota Lynx. 12-6 is Minnesota's lead as Maria Klimnikova will check into the game for the Minnesota Lynx against this New York Liberty team. I think her best game of the season. She has had higher scoring games, but 6 points on 2 of 5 shooting, 5 rebounds, 4 steals, 2 blocks. Courtney Williams will complete the three-point play, and Williams 2 of 3 shooting to start this contest. Kayla McBride, the leading scorer, with 6 points so far. 13-6 is Minnesota's lead. The defense looking outstanding so far. 2 for 11 shooting is the New York Liberty as Johannes works in a pick and roll with Niesemann. Niesemann crashing over inside the paint. The ball almost comes loose. Klimnikova comes up with the steal. It is a 3-on-1. Williams to Carrington. She misses at the rim. A squandered opportunity for the Minnesota Lynx. Both these teams top 2 in the WNBA in fast break points. Minnesota first in scoring off of turnovers. Johannes flips a pass. Ionescu a deep 3. No good that time. Smith will tap it out, and Fibish able to gather it. Ionescu darting her way to the rim, puts on the brakes, extra pass. It goes off of Kennedy Burke, and it is a Liberty turnover. You can see Courtney Williams really fired up getting that stop. We know how competitive she is. She's going to check out of this game, and Tisha Heidemann will come in for the first time, I should say. But Courtney Williams is as fired up about getting a stop deep in the shot clock like that as she is. A three-point play on her mid-range jumper. 2:50 to go in the first quarter. 13-6, low scoring so far. Minnesota efficient in the defense, really speaking volumes. Here's McBride launching a 3. That just grazes the side of the iron, and the rebound collected by Johannes. Cloud back into the game, stops her dribble in transition, looking inside. Jonquel Jones had a mismatch, and she's able to put it in for 2. Carrington gave her best effort to try and get there on the help defense, but that's 6'6" for you right there, about a couple feet from the rim. Carrington working the pick and roll, taking off. She's going to turn around, pick up her dribble in the paint. 10 seconds now to shoot. She'll set a screen for Heidemann. They blitz Heidemann near the logo. Over to Klimnikova. The skip pass here is Carrington for 3. That is off target. And the rebound skied for by Cloud. And she is sprinting the floor up to Johannes, but good recovery by Carrington to prevent any damage there. Under 2 minutes to play here in the first quarter. The Liberty back with the basketball again. Cloud trying to size up against Heidemann, takes her right to the rim, and she will score inside. She let out a yell there, too, feeling fired up, and Liberty now within 3. Minnesota's led by as many as 7 points in this low-scoring start so far. It is 13-10, 1:30 to go. Klimnikova will kick it out to Heidemann for 3. She's got it. Tisha Heidemann, her first bucket, her first look in this game. She's got 3 points. Minnesota with 34 bench points the last time out against this Liberty team as Kennedy Burke plows her way to the rim and has a 3-point play opportunity. She just faced up and took off on the blow-by. 16-12 is Minnesota's lead with 1 free throw coming up here for Kennedy Burke. Her first game back against Las Vegas, 8 points on 50% shooting in 16 minutes. But I mentioned her as someone who is probably in consideration for most improved player as well. She's having career highs in every statistical category, but what really jumps out is her shooting 46% from 3, 31% career entering this season. She misses the free throw, though. She's 81% for the charity stripe this season, and Minnesota still leads by 4, 16-12, 1:13 to play in the first quarter as Heidemann again has to get out of dodge, gets it away to Carrington. Klimnikova for 3. That's good. Klimnikova can stroke it from long range, showing off her confidence. Great game against New York most recently at Barclays, and she's picking up right where she left off. It is 19-12 Minnesota as Johannes is going to retreat and reset. She's got Shepard on her far outside, weaves her way into the paint, was looking to lob it inside to Jones. It was nowhere close and picked off by Heidemann, now weaving her way down the floor, attacks right at Talbert and converts at the cup. Timeout called by the New York Liberty, 35.3 seconds left. Or was there no timeout? It got loud in here. No, it's just going to be New York Liberty basketball from three-quarter courts. 21-12. In my mind, it was no more than 45 seconds ago that I said it was a 3-point game. All of a sudden, Minnesota has its largest lead of this contest. Just rattling off 6 straight points, 21-12, with 36 seconds to go. Cloud will bring it over half court, met by Heidemann. Burke also lurking for a pick, being guarded by Shepard. Instead, she's going to switch spots with Johannes. Cloud still dribbling, dancing near the logo, surveying right now. Heidemann staying patient. Johannes, quick trigger three. No good that time. Tipped out by Talbot and corralled by Kliunkova, grasping that basketball. Shot clock is off. 10 seconds to go in the first quarter. Minnesota basketball leading 21-12. Heidemann directing traffic now, looking to Shepard for the post-up. A step-back three for Heidemann, left way short. She was looking for a whistle there. So we head to the second quarter. Minnesota in the driver's seat right now at home at Target Center, a place where they have only lost once this season, 16-1 here in downtown Minneapolis. We will head to the second quarter. Minnesota leading 21-12 here on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
Imagine you have a dream, an ambition, but you always feel like you're missing something. A piece of the puzzle you just can't put your finger on.
And then you meet someone, a collaborator, a partner, a kindred spirit, or even a rival. A person that dares you, drives you to create something truly inspiring.
That chemistry of two people in a singular pursuit allows you to achieve the success and fame you never could have on your own. Together, you make a mark on the world. I'm Faith Staley.
And I'm Rico Galliano, and we are the hosts of the new series from Wondery, 1+1.
From the people behind Business Wars and Dirty John comes a weekly series about what happens when two insanely gifted people come together in conflict and then collaboration to create something truly transformative.
People like Lennon and McCartney.
With working with John, I got into literature without meaning to.
And Google's Larry Page and Sergey Brin.
You didn't like each other very much at the beginning, or no? But you tolerated each other.
Yeah, I think, Larry's kind of obnoxious. I'm very easygoing.
When you get down to it, really, every great collaboration is a sort of love story. Sometimes for real, like Jay-Z and Beyonce.
And with each 6-episode series, we're going to take you through some of these amazing stories.
And we'll realize what about these power couples,
these far-sighted geniuses,
these creative soulmates,
made them so great. And maybe what we can all learn from them.
1+1.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
Good. One step in the process and the journey. We barely acknowledge it as a team. We're so focused on kind of what's next, and we're not settling with that, just clinching. We want to finish the season the right way and head into the playoffs on a good note.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what BC said. It's a stepping stone to our final goal. So I'm glad we've done it, and we're on to it.
As Bridget Carlton and Alana Smith reacting to Minnesota officially clinching, being the first team to do so, a berth to the playoffs. And we heard it from them. There are plenty of larger goals on the horizon for this team, but this is also a team that is hunting down a top overall seed for the WNBA playoffs, and they're obviously in great shape for that too. You have teams like this Liberty team, like the Atlanta Dream as well, who are trying to encroach behind them, but they both are trailing in this Lynx team by 6.5 games. 6.5 games. And Minnesota has the top point differential in the WNBA as well. All really positive things for this Lynx team that is trying to lock that up whenever it is mathematically possible. But we're getting closer to when that date could be. 21-12, Minnesota over the New York Liberty. Minnesota with the win today would take the season series in this 2024 WNBA Finals rematch. Start of the second quarter. Starters out for the New York Liberty. Here's Ionescu for 3. That's no good. Ionescu from the floor so far, 0 for 4 shooting, 0 for 3 from long range. It is Minnesota basketball once again. Harrington, nice pass inside. Kliunkova spins against Jones. A little off balance. She fades, can't connect. But it's going to be, looks like Lynx basketball. or they are going to reverse it. It's going to be Liberty basketball. 30 seconds into the second quarter. Minnesota holding the Liberty to just 5 for 16 shooting. That is 31%. 0 for 7 from 3 for this Liberty team that leads the WNBA in threes per game. Phoebish gets into the paint, kicks it out. Jones checks her feet, launches a three. Now 0 for 8 from long range is the New York Liberty. Sprinting down the floor is Courtney Williams. She floats it up and she fouled. We'll just see that kind of aggression and speed from Courtney Williams, feeling like this Liberty transition defense was not quite set and not quite ready to make that stop. She takes advantage of it, and that is just what is so innate to her as a point guard, and what is so fun to watch is her ability to just read and react. It comes so naturally to her. She will miss the first free throw, though. Minnesota still leads 21-12. But Coach Reeve talked about this week, but we've had 3 straight practices to be able to talk to Coach Reeve and pick her brain. But she said Courtney is someone who especially has picked up her game, certainly in the scoring department, where she's now taking 17 shots per game without Nafisa Collier, but also keeping tabs and being that game manager as the point guard as she should. As Carrington gets wrapped up on the attempted handoff, she thought she would have had a steal or at least a jump ball, but instead it is going to be a foul on Carrington. And she can really pounce on things in a hurry. That time, just too physical according to this refereeing staff. Carrington laid out, and that's going to be an offensive foul on Jonquel Jones. Each game that Carrington has played, and she's averaging over 13 points per game in these 3 contests so far. This now her 4th. But she has been able to make an imprint every time she's on the floor, each side and each possession in some way, whether it's deflections, her energy, a steal, not even scoring, could be anything. Minnesota back with the basketball again. There's another whistle. Looks like it's going to be defensive 3 seconds. So an opportunity here for the Lynx with the free throw and the basketball coming up. And without Kayla McBride on the floor, it's going to be Courtney Williams shooting. Maria Kliandikova stepped into the line very confidently and was ready to take it. And Courtney basically had to tap her on the shoulder and say, "No, it's all right. I got this for you." She does knock down the free throw. 8:47 to play in the second quarter. It's Minnesota basketball. 23-12 is their lead over the second-place New York Liberty team, 6.5 games behind them. Heidemann looks to the high post. Shepard will kick it out. Carrington gets into the paint after the hesitation, slices through the defense, and scores at the rim. She is so fast off the dribble. You see her in the open court, the kind of jet she has. Same thing with the ball in her hands, too. It is 25-12. Minnesota on top. Jonquel Jones working in the paint, and it's picked off on the backside by Heidemann. She streaks down the floor, 3-on-1 to Williams, hangs in the air, and finishes for 2. Time out, Liberty. Minnesota's opened up a 27-12 lead, 8:14 to go in the toughest place to play in the WNBA as we step aside. The rest of the second quarter coming your way after this on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
This is Courtney Williams.
To Courtney Williams. She will launch a 3. It is good. And Williams fired up about that one.
Work with us this season and help make our house the best home court advantage in the league.
No slowing down the Minnesota Lynx here in the 4th.
Lynx fans, circle Sunday, August 24th for a can't-miss Commissioner's Cup rematch as the Lynx host the Indiana Fever. The first 5,000 fans score a corduroy bucket hat presented by State Farm. So get your tickets now at lynxbasketball.com/tickets.
At Mayo Clinic, we're detecting the undetectable. Using advanced AI technology, our experts can accurately detect signals in the human voice that are indicators of coronary artery disease. We're making more possible at Mayo Clinic because every day we're doing what's never been done. Learn more at mayoclinic.org/possible. Mayo Clinic. You know where to go.
Alex Leibold here with you in our WNBA Tonight studios for a scoreboard update. No other contests going on today in the WNBA, just the Lynx and the Liberty facing off here at the Target Center. So we're going to look ahead to tomorrow, and we got a full slate on Sunday. 5 games taking place In the W, the Indiana Fever face off with the Connecticut Sun in Connecticut. The Fever have lost 4 of 5. Sun have lost 5 of 6 and are at 6-26 on the year. Lowest record in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark still out for Indiana. The LA Sparks, who have won 2 of 3, they're actually raging hot right now. They've won, They've won 7 of their last 10 games. They face off against the Washington Mystics team, who have also won 2 of their last 3. Sparks are just half a game behind the Storm for the final playoff game, so they have a lot to play for. The Dallas Wings are at 9-25 on the season. They play the 20-14 Las Vegas Aces. They tip off after 2:30 tomorrow, as the Wings have lost 6 of 7 and the Aces have won 8 of their last 9. The Phoenix Mercury faces Seattle Storm just after 5, and the Atlanta Dream, also at 21-12 with the Liberty, play the Golden State Valkyries just after 7:30. Let's head back into the Target Center Arena with Sloan Martin.
Thanks, Alex. Certainly the Los Angeles Sparks very interesting right now, with especially how they're playing offensively. I mean, if you look at since the All-Star break, it's the Minnesota Lynx who are the top offensive team, 94 points per game, 51% shooting, 44% from 3, first in offensive rating as well. But the Sparks really challenging that over that stretch themselves. It'll be interesting to see. We're really hitting the home stretch right here, under 15 games to play in this regular season. Minnesota right now with a lead of 27-12, 8:14 to play in this second quarter. On the floor for the Lynx is Williams, Shepard, Carrington, Kliundakova, and Heidemann. So 2 starters and 3 role players on the floor right now for Minnesota in the midst of a 14-2 run, holding the Liberty to 28% shooting from the floor. This Liberty team is 3rd in the WNBA in field goal percentage as a team. Phoebish works a pick and roll with Jones. Jones stopped in her tracks by Shepard, who takes a bump. She'll kick it out to Phoebish, and Phoebish will knock down a 3. The first for the Liberty. They had started 0 for 9 in this game for a team that leads the WNBA in threes per contest. And Courtney Williams has a rebuttal right back. Don't get too excited yet. Minnesota leads by 15 after that Williams 3. She's shooting 4 of 5 from the floor. She's got 12 points, leading scorer in this game. Cloud trying to weave her way through the paint. Ionescu gets to the free throw line. Pull up, well contested, falls off the front of the iron, and the rebound ripped away by Carrington. Over to Courtney Williams, 7:20 to play in this second quarter. Heidemann will swing it deep in the corner. Carrington has that blocked for 3, tries to track it down. It was Jonquel Jones getting out there. Top 2 shot blocking teams in the WNBA. It's still Minnesota basketball. Mid-range from the elbow, Kliundakova doesn't fall. And the rebound tracked down by Ionescu, who will bring it up the floor. Ionescu guarded by Carrington. They're working around the perimeter, then inside to Jonquel Jones. Jones, double team comes, extra pass all the way to the opposite side of the floor. Now 10 seconds to shoot. Ionescu trying to take Heidemann on the drive. Again, everyone touching the basketball. Jones gets the flyby, puts up the 3 and drains it. That was intense ball movement by the New York Liberty, going deep into the shot clock. It results in back-to-back 3s for the New York Liberty, that time from Jones. 6:30 to go in this second quarter. Kliundakova has it outside the three-point line, guarded as she gets back into the paint by Miesemann. Shepard directing traffic. 5 seconds now to shoot, and Carrington takes a bump, and that's going to be a foul on Cloud, who's voicing her displeasure. This refereeing crew: Tim Green, Jenna Renault, and Ryan Cesano. 3 players checking in for the Lynx in Alana Smith, Kayla McBride, and Bridget Carlton, and it looks like there's been a tee. It's on Natasha Cloud. And she was not backing down from making her voice heard after that foul was called on her, giving a bump to Carrington. And technical free throw missed by Kayla McBride. She was jumping up and down when she saw it wasn't perfect, trying to will that ball in, and maybe for a shooter like her, that does work. But it's still going to be 30-18. Minnesota Lynx with the lead, 6:26 to go. Williams, McBride, Carlton, Smith, and Kliundakova on the floor. Kliundakova gives a look inside, guarded by Jones, taking her off the dribble, gets all the way, will miss at the rim, and the rebound tracked down by Ionescu. Ionescu being guarded by Carrington. They switch in the hands of Cloud now. 15 seconds to shoot in the shot clock. Phoebish working from the perimeter will find Jones. Jones a couple dribbles against Kliundakova, threads it inside. It skips away from Phoebish and will be Minnesota basketball. That is now 7 turnovers for the New York Liberty, leading it to 6 and counting points for the Minnesota Lynx. Remember, the last time these two teams played back on Sunday, Minnesota forced 20 New York Liberty turnovers and scored 22 points off of them. Under 6 minutes to go before halftime, Courtney Williams trying to get the step. She'll drive and kick it to Smith. Carlton with the basketball now. 8 seconds to shoot as Kliundakova will hand it off to Courtney Williams. Hot to start this game. There was an inside to Kliundakova, but the ball was kicked. 3 seconds. We're on the shot clock now, reset to 14. And Carlton will go take it out. Minnesota holding this Liberty team to 2 of 11 shooting from beyond the arc, 33% overall. As Maureen Johannes checks in, she'll be guarding Courtney Williams. Ionescu guarding Ball and Carlton. 5:40 on the clock before halftime. Williams takes it from Smith, and she'll orchestrate this offense. McBride off a curl, slices her way into the paint, will miss it close range, and the rebound taken by Ionescu. Cross-court pass, a ton of speed for Cloud. The trailer in Burke. That three is no good, 46% this season, but another opportunity off the long rebound. Ionescu wants it, and she drains it. And head coach Cheryl Reeve is going to call a timeout with 5:18 on the clock in the second quarter. Minnesota led by 15. It is now 9-30-21 as Liberty hope that they are getting hot here at Target Center after a very cold start to this game. This is Minnesota Lynx basketball.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
Listen, the reason I wanted to talk to you was because... No, you don't want to talk to me. But yeah, I do actually.
Passenger List, a new mystery thriller from PRX's Radiotopia.
Breaking news.
Following breaking
news is out. A plane has crashed.
Atlantic Flight 702. The pre-flight checklist has like 30 different things to check. And 12 of them could bring down a plane on their own if they failed.
I have nothing to hide. You can ask me whatever you like.
You knew the plane was doomed. You work with criminals.
So that means I must be involved?
Have you considered that maybe it really was just an accident?
Dylan?
Don't call me again unless it's through the app. It's only safe if we both use it. So what do you want?
Starring Kelly Marie Tran, Colin Morgan, Patti LuPone, and Rob Benedict.
The public deserves to know the truth. The public does know the truth. Flight 702 crashed in the Atlantic due to a bird strike. It's the only truth there is.
Caitlin Lee?
Yes?
I'm Agent Gerard with the FBI. We need to talk.
Passenger List, a new mystery thriller.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
I think we're all just, it starts to doubt, and then, that makes it a lot easier on the court because, all right, if Court yells at me, it's not personal. I know that, Court loves me, and, what she's saying is to help the team. And so I think, for us, we're just a group that we all really get along. Like, it's not fake. It's authentic, and it's just who we are. And, it's everyone's dream, especially at the professional level. I don't think there's many teams that probably have the chemistry that we do, and it makes it a lot of fun coming to work every day.
That's Jessica Shepard talking about just the chemistry and connectivity between this Lynx team. Minnesota leads 31-21, 5:18 to go before halftime, and Minnesota once had a 15-point lead. The New York Liberty 3 for 6 in this quarter from three-point range after they started 0 for 9 to start this game. And that's something with the Liberty. It's a team you could maybe only bottle up for so long because of how prolific they are from beyond the arc. And they are starting to catch fire at this moment within 9. So a timeout called by head coach Cheryl Reeve. On the floor for Minnesota is Shepard, who you can hear from my conversation with her at halftime here coming up in just a couple of minutes. Always enjoy catching up with her as she's started in place of Nafisa Collier, playing some of the best basketball of her career. And we're seeing her as a fully formed athlete at her peak, and how good that is, leading the WNBA in field goal percentage. She takes the basketball right now, hands it off to Carlton. 5 minutes remaining before halftime. McBride gets open for three. That's no good. Fighting for the rebound, Alana Smith. She comes out on top. Cross-court pass across the paint to Shepard. She'll kick it out. Carlton no good from three. And another offensive rebound, but instead it's going to be a loose ball picked up by Sabrina Ionescu. A couple of opportunities there for Minnesota to secure another possession. Backdoor cut, Kennedy Burke to the rim for two. 30-23 is Minnesota's lead. New York shooting now up to 35% after a very slow start to this game. They started 2 of 11 from the floor. Top 2 shooting teams in the WNBA, these two, Liberty and Lynx. Here's Alana Smith faking the handoff, driving, finds a cutting Jessica Shepard. How did she know? Unspeakable chemistry between those two who have not played a ton except for this stretch without Napheesa Collier. Somehow Smith saw Shepard cutting. The IQ of Jessica Shepard to cut at the exact right time. That post-to-post passing. One of the most fun parts of the game for me, the way that she just timed that out, slicing across the baseline, helping out Alana Smith, who found herself surrounded by trees and able to get an easy 2 for the Lynx, who lead 32-23. 4 minutes to go. Jones tries the drop step, then steps around her defender, finishes on the other side of the rim. A nifty post move for the former MVP. 32-25 is in New York. Liberty finding their stride in the second quarter. Long range 2 on the way and good for Courtney Williams. She's got 14 points, by far leads all scorers. The next closest behind her is Kayla McBride with 6. Jonquel Jones has 9. And Williams 5 of 6 shooting as Alana Smith, a gnarly block inside against Kennedy Burke, who thought she'd try her in the paint. Ball is kicked right into the stands. It's still Minnesota basketball. But there's Alana Smith doing what she does. And I asked Liberty head coach Sandy Brondello before the game about how she sees her player for the Australian national team. Brondello is the leader, the head coach of that team, coming off an Olympic bronze medal in Paris. And she said, I love it as the Australian head coach. I don't love it as much playing against the Minnesota Lynx and how well she's doing this season, as McBride just has that shot roll out. It spun around at least 3 times before just popping up. 3:15 to go as Ionescu will barrel her way to the rim and can convert. 34-25 is Minnesota's lead, trying to regain that cushion they had. An offensive foul is going to go on Alana Smith. She thought that she was going to be the one who's fouled. It did look like she was standing stoically. Sabrina Ionescu pushes her on the shoulders with both hands. And is now Liberty basketball. I'm taking another look at that one. Couple dribble pull-up, and that is good at the free throw line from Maureen Johannes. 34-27 is Minnesota's advantage. Under 3 minutes to go in this first half. Shepard has it. Will hand it off to Bridget Carlton, then set a screen. Carlton navigating, finds Shepard, who gets her way to the cup for 2. It's not just Smith and Williams or Fee and Williams when it comes to pick and roll beauty. It's also Jessica Shepard, how she navigates with these teammates. You heard her talk about the chemistry that they have. Miesemann, pump fake, stomps on a dime, pulls up at the free throw line. That's no good. Shepard sticking with her every step of the way. 36-27 is Minnesota's lead as Williams gets into the front court. They go underneath that screen, but she's going to take Burke off the dribble, leave it off for Shepard. Looking for some help. She's going to take Miesemann off the dribble, using her muscle underneath the rim. Still holds on to it and earns herself a foul. That is the confidence we are seeing from Shepard this season that has been so fun and I think so fulfilling, especially for Lynx fans who remember her when she was drafted in 2019. And times that she would be hesitant underneath the rim. And now she's snaring rebounds and she is flying up the floor. She is directing this offense. She is using her power under the rim when she gets that close and being patient, not always looking for that extra pass to bail her out, which she's of course always willing to do. But I think having that ferocity, that confidence has taken her game to another level and absolutely worth consideration for 6th player of the year. She knocks down her first free throw. Heidemann checks back in. It is Smith, McBride, Shepard, Heidemann, and Williams. Shepard with another free throw coming up. And that is good. She had been 50% shooting for the charity stripe her last 4 games. Goes 2 for 2 there. It is a 38-27 Lynx lead. 2 minutes to go before halftime. Ionescu working through some traffic. Niesemann will facilitate from beyond the three-point line. Gives it to Johannes, who throws it over her shoulder. That's the second completely gone awry pass that she has had turn into a turnover, which would have been a very flashy play. Not so much when no one's there. 38-27 is Minnesota's lead. It'll be Smith taking it out for the Lynx. Lynx basketball is brought to you by U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank is proud to be the official bank of the Minnesota Lynx. Minnesota is led by as many as 15 points in this game. Rattled off a 14-2 run earlier in this quarter, but the Liberty were able to catch some heat with their three-point shooting in the second quarter. Natasha Cloud in the passing lane looking for a pick 6, and she's got it. Williams just lost her footing, and they weren't able to connect on that pass. Now the Liberty bringing some full-court pressure into the backcourt. Minnesota leads 38-29 now. Shepard has it against Jones outside the three-point line. Will hand it off to McBride. McBride trying to find some space. Will go to the other side of the floor. Williams taking her time. Waits for a Smith screen. Shoots over Cloud. No good there from the mid-range. And a foul on the floor is going to go on the New York Liberty. I believe that's on Jones. No, that's going to be on Phoebish. Excuse me. 38-29. Is Minnesota's lead. It is still Lynx basketball. 1:11 on the clock, 14 on the reset shot clock. Into Shepard from the sideline out of bounds. Looking for some action. Hands it off to McBride. McBride takes a bump from Jones. Deep cross-court pass. Smith's tight roping along the baseline. She's also in traffic. McBride with 3 seconds left in the mid-range. That's no good. And the rebound comes away to the Liberty as Johannes into the front court. Minnesota ready for her. She's going to go right at Heidemann and score. That was 1-on-2, and she just decided, I'm going right at Natisha Heidemann. She comes out on top, and the lead is 7, 38-31. The Liberty making a charge. Here is Courtney Williams for 3 straight on early in the shot clock. That's no good. And Johannes appeared to take a blow to the face. She's down on the floor trying to go for that rebound. Foul is going to go on Shepard, who is attacking the glass. 38-31 is Minnesota's lead. And Shepard is having a chat with the referee. Not privy to that conversation, of course, but maybe along the lines of just doing my job and attacking the glass, trying to get a rebound. It's inadvertent there. 38-31 is Minnesota's lead as Cloud tries to get downhill, splits defenders and scores. That was a tough take, tough finish. It is a 5-point lead as the Liberty have charged back in this game in this quarter. Williams has the basketball near half court. About a 2-second difference shot and game clock. Now 10 seconds on the shot clock. Waits for a high screen from Shepard. Has Jones on her now. Will swing at the opposite direction. McBride, a couple threes to start this game. Has not been able to get free. She's going to throw it up at the shot clock buzzer. It's going to be a shot clock violation. And the New York Liberty have a chance to make this a 1-possession game heading into the halftime locker room when they've trailed by 15 points. From three-quarter court, Johannes will get it in. 2.7 seconds left into Jones from beyond the half-court line. Too strong. And Minnesota will lead by 5 here at halftime at Target Center. 38-33. The leading scorer, Courtney Williams, 14 points. Minnesota holding the Liberty to 3 of 14 shooting from beyond the arc. They started 0 for 9 in this game, but the Liberty able to catch some fire to close out that second quarter. Alex Label has plenty more coming your way from our WNBA Tonight studios here at Target Center in downtown Minneapolis, so don't go anywhere. We'll have highlights, the box score, and he'll break it all down, plus my interview with Jessica Shepard, that and plenty more to come. This is the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
Rip Esselstyn here. I want to welcome you to the Engine 2 Plant Strong podcast. In season 1, I'm going to introduce you to Joe Inga, a Bronx firefighter who reached out to me to help him reclaim his health that has been spiraling out of control for the last 12 years. In response to this 911 call from a firefighting brother, I have marshaled together some of the most spectacular doctors, athletes, inspirational leaders in the plant-based space.
I'm Paul de Gelder. I'm a host on Discovery Channel's Shark Week, Army and Navy veteran from Australia, and Shark Attack survivor.
I'm JD Roth. I'm a television producer and a plant-strong man.
Chrissy Roth. I'm a holistic nutritionist. I'm a physical therapist, and I am plant strong as well.
I am Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn Jr. I work at the Cleveland Clinic Wellness Institute. The book I wrote is called Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease, and I'm Rip's father.
My name is James Wilkes. I'm the producer on the Game Changers film.
I am Dean Sherzai, the co-director of Brain Health and Alzheimer's Prevention Program in Loma Linda University.
I'm Aisha Sherzai. I'm a neurologist and co-director of the Brain Health and Alzheimer's Prevention Program at Loma Linda University.
And we're so privileged to be part of this journey with you.
My hope is that for every Joe and every Jane that's out there, this season will inspire you and inform you as you too take action and become the Plant Strong person that you were destined to be. Welcome to Plant Strong.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one.
.com.
To 25 as the New York Liberty finding their stride in the second quarter. Long range 2 on the way and good for Courtney Williams. She's got 14 points, by far leads all scorers. The next closest behind her is Kayla McBride with 6. John Paul Jones has 9. And Williams 5 of 6 shooting as Alana Smith, a gnarly block inside against Kennedy Burke, who thought she'd try her in the paint.
Alana Smith and Courtney Williams doing everything they can to keep Minnesota in front as they led by as much as 15 at the beginning of the second quarter. They now find themselves with just a 5-point lead after 20 minutes of play at the Target Center as we welcome you into the WNBA Tonight studios for the halftime show. Alex Leibold here with you to discuss some of those first half highlights and the box score that tells the story of these first 20 minutes that have the Lynx leading by 5. But before we do any of that, let's pause for 10 quick seconds to allow our stations to identify themselves. You are listening to Minnesota Lynx basketball.
Interviews, guests, press conferences, and every game can be heard right here all season long. The Minnesota Timberwolves channel on the iHeartRadio app.
The Minnesota Lynx and New York Liberty facing off for the third time this season and the second of 3 straight matchups against the Liberty for Minnesota. While New York is wrapping up a 3-game road trip, Minnesota had 5 days between their last game and today, and it was the well-rested team that jumped out to a healthy lead in the first quarter.
Heidemann again has to get out of dodge, gets it away to Carrington. Kliundakova for 3. That's good. Kliundakova can stroke it from long range, showing off her confidence. Great game against New York most recently at Barclays, and she's picking up right where she left off. It is 19-12 Minnesota as Johannes is going to retreat and reset. She's got Shepard on her far outside, weaves her way into the paint, was looking to lob it inside to Jones. It was nowhere close and picked off by Heidemann, now weaving her way down the floor, attacks right at Talbert and converts at the cup.
Natisha Heidemann and Maria Kliundakova, combining to close that first quarter on an 8-2 run that gave Minnesota a 9-point lead after 10 minutes. 21-12 was the score after 10. The lowest scoring first quarter of the season for New York as they started 1 for 9 from the field, finishing the first quarter 0 for 7 from 3-point range. This is a New York Liberty team that loves to shoot the 3-point ball, but the Lynx were up 21-12 after 1 quarter of play, and that 8-2 run that Natisha Heidemann and Maria Kliundakova sparked went well on into the second frame.
23-12 is their lead over the second-place New York Liberty team, 6.5 games behind them. Heidemann looks to the high post. Shepard will kick it out. Carrington gets into the paint after the hesitation, slices through the defense, and scores at the rim. She is so fast off the dribble. You see her in the open court, the kind of jet she has. Same thing with the ball in her hands, too. It is 25-12, Minnesota on top. Jonquel Jones working in the paint, and it's picked off on the backside by Heidemann. She streaks down the floor, 3-on-1 to Williams, hangs in the air, and finishes for 2. Timeout, Liberty.
The Lynx bench continues to provide solid defense and solid offense. Courtney Williams capping off a 14-2 run that gave Minnesota their largest lead of the contest at 15 points. They would go on to lead by 15 again at 30-15 before the Liberty started to heat up in the second quarter. They cut Minnesota's lead down to 5 points thanks to an 18-8 run to close the half. The Lynx lead 38-33 after 20 minutes of play, thanks to 14 points. Leading all scorers is Courtney Williams on 5 of 8 shooting. She's 3 for 4 from the free throw line with 2 rebounds. She doesn't have an assist in this contest, and she's turned the ball over twice. The Lynx are getting production from their bench yet again. Natisha Heidemann has 5 points, 2 assists, and 3 steals in just 9 minutes of play. Maria Kliondakova has 3 points, 1 board, 1 assist, and a steal to her name as well in 8 minutes. And Dejanay Carrington, 2 points, 2 boards, 1 assist, as the Lynx are up by 5. They're only shooting 37% from the field in this contest, while the Liberty are at 42%. However, the Lynx have shot 1 more three-pointer, 4-3, and are winning the free throw battle. They have made 8 of their 10 free throws, while the Liberty have just attempted 3 shots at the charity stripe for 2 for 3 from there. They have 20 points in the paint. They're scoring 10 points from their bench. The Liberty have turned the ball over 8 times, and the Lynx have only turned that into 6 points. So maybe the Lynx are going to be looking at that in the second half. But the Lynx are up by 5 right now. A solid first half for Minnesota as Jessica Shepard, Kayla McBride also score 6 points each. Shepard has a plus 11 after 6 points, 6 boards, 1 assist, and 1 turnover. We're going to hear from Jessica Shepard right after this break. She joins Sloan Martin for today's practice report. You're listening to the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
Alana Smith, what was your favorite TV show / movie growing up as a kid? I loved Lilo and Stitch as a kid, and I can't wait to see the new one coming out. Who's the most competitive on the team? I would say Courtney Williams is the most competitive on the team, and she'll let you know about it too. Who's the biggest prankster on the team? I would like to nominate myself as the biggest prankster on the team. If you could eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would you choose? I would choose French fries, but in Australia we call them hot chips. So hot chippies. What is the one thing you're confident you're better than all of your teammates at? I just have so many silly skills that I'm okay at, but not amazing at. I know I'm better at doing accents than all of my teammates. My American accent's great. Yeah, I go super Valley Girl. My British accent is great. I'll read the next question in American accent. What's your favorite hobby off the court? My favorite hobby off the court is cooking. I love to cook. You're stranded on a deserted island and you only have 3 TV shows to watch. Which shows are you watching? I'm watching Rick and Morty, I'm watching Ted Lasso, and I'm watching The Office.
Looking to shoot your shot and score big, all while giving back to your community? Pilot Games is bringing entertainment with exciting electronic pull tabs to bars and restaurants across Minnesota. Every play is a shot at a jackpot and an assist to a local charity. It's entertainment with a purpose. So next time you're out, look for Pilot Games. Big wins, local impact, nothing but net. Learn more at pilotgames.com.
This copyrighted telecast of WNBA Enterprises may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise used in any form without the express written consent of WNBA Enterprises.
Lynx up by 5 after 20 minutes of play, 38-33, thanks to 14 points in that first half from Courtney Williams. She leads all scorers in this contest. The Lynx only had 3 players score a basket in that second frame. Courtney Williams had 9 in the second. Dejanay Carrington had just 2. And Jessica Shepard is a third scorer in that second quarter with 6. And she met with Sloan Martin earlier this week during practice as the Lynx had 5 days off for this week's practice report. Let's take a listen.
Jessica Shepard, I wanted to ask and start off with this post group is obviously shorthanded without Napheesa Collier. As a collective unit, how do you feel like all of you have just kind of band together to pick up the pace and pick up the slack in her absence?
Yeah, I think what you said is the best way to put it collectively. Obviously, when you're missing, Fee, you're missing a huge part of your team. So it's not one player that's going to pick it up. But I think, Mosh, myself, Lan, we've all done a great job of just stepping into the game and whatever's needed that game, doing it, whether that's scoring, the rebounding obviously has to be picked up. So, I think we're all just doing our best at, being who we are and filling in for Fee.
Speaking of Lan, Coach Ree was saying this is someone who deserves consideration, not just for first team all defense, but defensive player of the year, especially playing alongside her. How have you just seen that evolution with her and putting herself in that position to be talked about in that way?
Yeah. I mean, I think, she absolutely deserves to be talked about in that way. What she does every night for us is she's a Band-Aid around the rim. And, as a teammate, I know, just knowing that you have that behind you, especially our guards probably feel this, they can put a little more pressure knowing that, okay, maybe if I get beat on this one, I know that Lan's back there protecting the rim. So, obviously she's been huge for us throughout the whole season. So for sure deserves to be in that conversation.
How's your comfort in the evolution and playing with her? Like the last couple of games, it's looked completely seamless. Of course, you have, you've been practicing with her this season, but actual time on the floor, dramatically increased for you two.
Yeah, I really enjoy playing with Lan. I think we complement each other really well. She likes to be outside a little more, and she's a great cutter, and I prefer to be in the paint more. So, I think we do a great job of complementing each other. And I know there was a game early in the year when we played DC. In DC, it was our first game playing significant minutes together, and we just kind of instantly had a connection that I think has benefited us right now with Fee being out.
Mosh also seems to play with so much just poise. She doesn't seem like shaken by things, coming off a great game at New York too. What have you seen about how she's been able to step into a little bit of a bigger role?
Yeah, I think she just is picking up on the concepts, now as the season's kind of progressed and getting more comfortable just being herself on the court. Obviously a really good player, and yeah, I think she's gaining confidence for us, which is really important going into this stretch of the season.
Playing New York, now we're at the third meeting of the season. I had to count that out for a second. Now the third meeting of the season. You're right. Okay. But what is it like having this kind of scheduling quirk, but also coming off such a big win on the road, but still seeing, is that a regular season game? Is it a series? How do you guys kind of work through that?
Yeah, very interesting scheduling. But, I think anytime you play a team, even back-to-back, you can kind of approach it like you do during the playoffs where both teams are not going to be happy with certain things and they're going to want to make adjustments. And it's which team can pick up on those adjustments the best. Even when you win the game, there's still things that you want to make sure that you fix, and that they're going to try and fix things. So I think that makes it a lot of fun.
Jessica Shepard, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Jessica Shepard with 6 points in that second half as the Lynx were trying to stay out in front of the New York Liberty. They led by as much as 15 in that second frame. They now lead by 5 after 20 minutes of play. They have 3 offensive rebounds that they were unable to take advantage of, 0 second chance points. So that's something that the Lynx are going to try and take advantage of in the second half if they can get on the offensive glass. Lynx up 5 after 20 minutes of play. We got third quarter action with Sloan Martin on the call coming your way next on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
At Mayo Clinic, we are predicting the unpredictable. Our experts are using a patient's own anatomy to create 3D printed life-size organ models to map out challenges ahead of time, making complex surgeries more precise, efficient, and less invasive. We are making more possible at Mayo Clinic because every day we're doing what's never been done. Learn more at mayoclinic.org/possible. Mayo Clinic, you know where to go.
Minnesota on top of the New York Liberty heading into the third quarter, joined by Lynx assistant coach Lindsay Whalen. Coach, how would you describe the flow of the offense, sometimes going late in the shot clock, and where you feel like this team can zero in on to try and keep them at bay?
Well, yeah, I felt like their pressure and some of their hedging really kind of put us back on our heels. Now we got to match that and bring more energy to attacking closeouts, and when they are bringing two to the ball handler, finding the open player and then making a play out of that. I thought we were a little passive at times when we did get the ball out. So we got to make this a good birthday for Prowl, so we got to bring Prowl some good attacks against their pressure.
Absolutely right. Coach, thank you so much for the time.
Thanks a lot, Martin.
38-33 is Minnesota's lead, and she's right. There was a dodgeball game happening here at Target Center during halftime, and Prowl won on their birthday. So a win would certainly cap things off. 38-33, this 5-point lead. And you heard it from Coach Whalen, too, about trying to find that open player, being more crisp and precise for this team that leads the WNBA in assists per game, assist percentage, 8 assists on 13 buckets. Courtney Williams did not have an assist in that first half. Of course, she's picked up such a significant scoring load in the absence of Napheesa Collier, but trying to maintain this usual kind of flow that this team has. And speaking of that, team being disruptive in the New York Liberty, that was something head coach Sandy Brondello told media before this game. She said, we have to be more disciplined. We can't be turning the ball over, can't be missing box outs, but we have to match that intensity. And New York did that certainly during the last couple minutes of that first half to shrink a 15-point deficit to a 5-point deficit. And here it's going to be shrunken yet again with Emma Miesemann just turning, facing, and hitting along the baseline from about 4 feet out. It is a 3-point game here at Target Center. The Liberty have not ever led in this game from the get-go. McBride gets wide open for 3. Can't knock it down that time. McBride, a tough shooting night. 1 for 9 shooting, 1 for 5 from long range. Started with 6 quick points to start this game. Jonquel Jones gets both feet in the paint, leaves it out for Ionescu. Ionescu, the mid-range is good. Knocks it down from about 17 feet out, and New York is within 1, 38-33. The third of 4 meetings between these two teams who matched up in the 2024 WNBA Finals. Minnesota with the win today would take the season series as Alana Smith is fouled along the baseline, was taking Miesemann toward the paint before kicking it out. So a foul will go on Miesemann. When it comes to foul trouble, Bridget Carlton, who's played only 9 minutes in this game, picked up 2 quick early personals. No one else has more than 2 for the Minnesota Lynx. No one else has more than 2 for the New York Liberty either. McBride now shouting instructions, engineering this offense. She'll get it over to Courtney Williams, guarded by Fiebich at 6'4", tries to drop it inside to Alana Smith on the roll. That bounce pass was picked up, and the New York Liberty with a lot of speed into the front court. Jones will go to the opposite side of the floor, Shepard on her. Fiebich, guarded by Courtney Williams, will drive and drop it down low into Jonquel Jones, and a 3-point play coming up as the New York Liberty take their first lead of this contest here with 8:38 on the clock. And that is enough for head coach Cheryl Reeve to call a timeout less than a minute and a half into this third quarter, coming out of the halftime locker room, because the New York Liberty looking connected and looking strong after a very cold start here in downtown Minneapolis. We're going to step aside on Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
Hi, it's Bridget Carlton.
Head down, she stopped at the rim, gets it right back. Carlton for 3 at the buzzer, and she unleashes a roar.
Roar with us this season and help make our host the best home court advantage in the league.
No slowing down the Minnesota Lynx here in the fourth.
Lynx fans, circle Sunday, August 24th for a can't-miss Commissioner's Cup rematch as the Lynx host the Indiana Fever. The first 5,000 fans score a corduroy bucket hat presented by State Farm. So get your tickets now at lynxbasketball.com/tickets.
Looking to shoot your shot and score big, all while giving back to your community? Pilot Games is bringing entertainment with exciting electronic pull tabs to bars and restaurants across Minnesota. Every play is a shot at a jackpot and an assist to a local charity. It's entertainment with a purpose. So next time you're out, look for Pilot Games. Big wins, local impact, nothing but net. Learn more at pilotgames.com.
Ever wonder how artificial intelligence or 3D printing is used to solve medical problems? Or how research is discovering new ways to slow or even stop medical conditions we used to think of as untreatable? I'm Kathy Worzer. Listen to Tomorrow's Cure, a podcast where I interview experts from Mayo Clinic and other renowned organizations. What they describe may sound futuristic, but listen and you'll find out Tomorrow's Cure is already here. Find it now wherever you get your podcasts.
Locker room, the New York Liberty looking very strong out of the gate. They were 3 of 3 to start in this third quarter. They have just taken their largest and first lead of this game here at Target Center. 39-38 with a free throw coming up on a three-point play for Jonquel Jones. And the New York Liberty looked out of sorts, frankly, offensively to start this game. They started 0 for 9 from 3 and 2 for 11 from the floor to start this game, respectively, before about midway through that second quarter, maybe last couple of minutes, things took off for them, where they have now erased a 15-point deficit in the toughest place to play in the WNBA, the Minnesota Lynx, who at 27-5 are 16-1 in this building at Target Center. And the New York Liberty have tried to take this crowd out of it, certainly playing strong here to start the second quarter. 39-38 is Minnesota's deficit now, first of this game. And a free throw coming up here for Jonquel Jones. With 8:38 to go in the third quarter. Minnesota down to shooting 37%, just 4 of 15 from three-point range. And the New York Liberty, who were south of 35% for much of that first half, now up to 42% shooting. As Jones will complete the three-point play. Jonquel Jones, one of the great shooters in the WNBA, but just 75% from the free throw line this season. As Liberty take a 2-point lead, 40-38, 8:30 to go in this third quarter. High screen comes for Shepard. The mid-range for Courtney Williams does not connect, and the loose ball picked up by Natasha Cloud. A ton of speed into the front court, leaves it for Ionescu. Cross-court pass, the trailer now in Jones for three. That's good. The New York Liberty are operating undeterred, exactly how they want to. 43-38, still continuing their largest lead of this game, just taking their first lead of the game a couple moments ago. This is a 10-0 run to start this half. Minnesota led by 5 at the halftime break. Good pass inside. A three-point play opportunity coming up for Kayla McBride, taking the dish from Alana Smith back to the basket, shuffle pass, and she finishes through the contacts. That makes it 43-40 and can make it back into a 2-point game. So that was an important play, an important possession for the Minnesota Lynx to make sure that they don't find themselves getting any further down to this Liberty team that is playing with a lot of confidence. McBride is good, and she completes the three-point play. That was something that Coach Brondello said in the most recent matchup at Barclays, where Minnesota won 83-71. She said, they made us feel uncomfortable. They wanted to return the favor today, and now an opportunity for Minnesota to respond. 10 seconds to shoot for the Liberty along the baseline. Niesemann picks up her dribble. 5 seconds now to shoot. Ionescu tight-roping along the baseline, but not good enough. She steps out of bounds, and that will be a Liberty turnover. That is 9 turnovers for the Liberty. Only 6 points for the Lynx scored off of that, though, with 7:30 to play in the third quarter. 6'4" Phoebish continues to guard Courtney Williams. In the most recent game, it was Natasha Cloud, but Cloud is now guarding Heidemann. They go under the screen. Courtney Williams makes them pay for 3. That is 17 points for Williams on 6 of 9 shooting. Niesemann working from outside three-point range, 44-43. Minnesota takes the lead back. Down low into Jones, trying to bang her way inside, and Alana Smith says no. Jonquel Jones was harnessing all of her power with her power dribble, but Alana Smith stood her ground. 6'6" with girth against 6'3" in Alana Smith, one of the best shot blockers along with Asia Wilson in the W this season. Being talked about now as Defensive Player of the Year category. But Alana Smith is going to pick up a foul there, trying to defend that pass coming into Niesemann, and gave her a bump at the last moment as she was catching it. Minnesota leads 44-43, 6:58 to play in the third quarter here at Target Center. Minnesota with a win today would take this season series against the Liberty. The pass goes awry off of Shepard, though. They were looking for a backdoor cut, a lob inside to Ionescu. And Shepard read that well defensively. Still Liberty basketball, 13 on the shot clock. They'll have a baseline out of bounds coming up right here. Williams, Shepard, McBride, Smith, and Heidemann on the floor for the Minnesota Lynx. And the mid-range is good for Sabrina Ionescu, just taking that one pass off the out-of-bounds, found herself a clean look from about 10 feet as Heidemann propels herself into the front court, has Jones on her. Maybe she can find a mismatch somewhere. Cloud now guarding Williams. He uses a high screen from Smith. Williams will backtrack, throw it inside. Shepard backing down against Feebish, contorts herself and finishes at the rim. Talked about in the first half, that confidence of Jessica Shepard, not passing out there when there's something in her way, just using her muscle to come out on top. And Shepard, in this game, her fourth straight starting in place in Nafisa Collier, putting up really strong numbers for the Minnesota Lynx. She's got 8 points, 6 rebounds. 6:25 to play as Liberty basketball, far sideline out of bounds. McBride guarding the inbounder in Ionescu. Heidemann guarding ball with Johannes. Skip pass, Kennedy Burke for 3. She drains it. Burke this season, 46% from 3. She had been 31% career entering this season after she was drafted in 2019. So she has upped her game to a significant degree. Still tops the WNBA in three-point percentage. Had been on an 0-for-6 slide coming into this game. Looks like Minnesota's going to turn it over. An offensive foul. It's going to go on Alana Smith. That's going to be her third personal. She has 3. Carlton has 2. And it looked like Sabrina Ionescu being physical, trying to get through her screen, and the whistle doesn't go the Lynx way. Along the baseline, Kennedy Burke back-to-back, good from 3. And Burke now 2 for 3 from long range. She's got 10 points. It is 51-46, the Liberty with the lead. Minnesota led the entire first half as Jessica Shepard gets downhill, attacks, and she'll be shooting 2. You can just see this clicking within Shepard with what her role is on this team. And the idea Coach Reeve and multiple players have talked about in the absence of Nafisa Collier, 4th straight game without her with an ankle injury suffered against the Las Vegas Aces. Everyone has to step up and elevate their game in some kind of way when you're missing basically 25 and 9 every single night as Shepard knocks down the first. And you can see each player carry that mantle, that responsibility in their own way, and Shepard has gone about it in a really, really excellent way. This is the second free throw. 51-47 is the Liberty's lead. Minnesota 10 of 13 from the free throw line in this game. The Liberty 3 for 4. 5:25 to play. Ionescu darts to the rim, misses at close range, and the rebound ripped down by Williams, accelerating up the floor. Shepard, the trailer, goes right to Jones. We'll kick it back out to Williams. Rightly decides against going up against one of the best shot blockers in the game. Shepard gets the ball back, quick handoff to McBride, and she's fouled, and that should be 3 free throws coming up. Are they going to look to make sure? This could be her second time fouled on a 3-point attempt in this game. And it looks like this refereeing crew of Tim Green, Jenna Renault, and Ryan Cesano is going to take a second look here with 5:09 on the clock in the third quarter. So it's going to be the third foul on Natasha Cloud. And I wonder if they are just looking to make sure that it is indeed a 3. And looking at the replay, it is easily a 3. The headset comes off. We got a quick review right here, and that'll be 3 free throws coming up for Kayla McBride. So the Lynx are going to be breaking out of their huddle, getting back organized here. Minnesota trailing 51-47, 5:08 to go in this third quarter, and McBride has 3 free throws coming up. And same as Jessica Shepard, affecting the game in the best way she can. That makes the most sense within this offense and her role in this team. McBride's the same way. If her shot isn't falling, she's going to try and get to the free throw line. She is shooting 2 of 10 today, 1 of 5 from 3-point range, but 4 of 5 shooting from the free throw line. And that's a way for her to get back on track, to feel those mechanics, the ball going in. She has a beautiful free throw. We have the 2 best free throw shooters in the W in this game today, and Ionescu and Kayla McBride separated by just 1/10 of a percentage point right at the top. McBride good on the first, and her second good as well. Join us at our house on Sunday, August 24th for a can't miss Commissioner's Cup rematch as the Lynx host the Indiana Fever. The first 5,000 fans score a corduroy bucket hat presented by State Farm. Get your tickets now at lynxbasketball.com/tickets. And McBride goes 3 for 3 and is up to 12.7 of those coming from the free throw line. That's how she's going to get herself steady and going once more. Minnesota's within 51-50. Under 5 minutes to play in the third quarter here at Target Center. Johannes being hounded by Williams, waits for a high screen from Ionescu. Johannes gets herself free with the dribble, launches a 3. That rims out and collected by Alana Smith. Natisha Heidemann, a little out of control, but she is fouled. Boy, that was fast. It only took about 3 dribbles to get from free throw line to free throw line. And that foul is going to go on the Liberty as she was speeding her way through. 4:41 to play. That's a great example of how, they're going to call it a clear path foul. So that is significant. We talk with Coach Reeve frequently about how Natisha Heidemann changes the pace for this team. And to do so against this transition defense to try and earn her team this extra possession, that is smart basketball. McBride, though, is going to miss her second free throw of the game. She entered today 75 for 80 for the season. So she's got a couple misses in her attempts today. Minnesota trails by 51-50. Minnesota basketball as Shepard will deliver it over to Williams. Williams trying to get free from Ionescu. Shepard, pump fake at the free throw line, will drive, kick. Smith gets herself into the paint, throws it up and in for 2. A hard take by Alana Smith. She's got 4 points now for the Minnesota Lynx. Jones working around the perimeter against Smith. Will hand it off to Johannes. Johannes gets free off the switch, throws it down low into Jones. That was a nifty play, rising up like she was going to shoot it off one leg and then quickly delivers it down low into Jones. And the Liberty lead by 53-52, swapping back and forth after Minnesota, led by 15, had lead the entire first 20 minutes of this game. Williams working around a pick and roll, shoots over Jones. No good. Offensive rebound to Shepard. She's fouled on the ground, but great effort by Jessica Shepard, who just impacts the game in huge ways when she's on the floor. She's having a career year, leading the WNBA in field goal percentage, 61%. In fact, if she gets a double-double today, that would tie her career high for a season with 6. That happened in 2022, where she is 2 free throws coming up. Both teams are Minnesota, I should say, in the bonus right now with 3:45 on the clock. And Shepard no good on the first. Minnesota trails 53-52. Collectively 13 for 18 from the free throw line. The Liberty have 4 attempts. Shepard, one more coming her way. But to continue on her, averaging nearly a double-double when she's in the starting lineup, 8th in the WNBA in offensive rebounds per game as she hits the second, and we are tied up at 53 with 3:30 to go in the third quarter. Johannes picks up her dribble, goes back door looking for Kennedy Burke. Burke will kick it out. Miesemann wide open for 3, and she's got it. Miesemann wearing a Liberty jersey, 4 for 7 entering today. So not something she consistently looks to, but absolutely has the ability to knock down the shot from long range. 56-53 is Minnesota's deficit. They throw it into Shepard in the post. A heavy dose of Jessica Shepard. She goes up strong. No whistle there going up against Phoebish. Gives a look to the referee, but also thought Phoebish was straight up on that play. Ionescu leaves her way in, leaves it for Miesemann. Miesemann lobs it inside Phoebish. Quickly around the perimeter, and then the backdoor cut. Kennedy Burke flies to the rim, and she'll be shooting too. And Courtney Williams is saying that is not a foul. She was called on that whistle, and Coach Reeve is going to challenge this play. So she's calling a timeout right now. Her team trailing by 3, 56-53. Things are tight here between these two teams. 2:54 to play in this third quarter. And the New York Liberty, especially this third quarter, Minnesota led by 15 points in that first half. Not that they were cruising by any means, but they were able to really clamp down on this Liberty team defensively, holding them to 0 for 9 shooting from 3 to start this game. And then to start the third quarter, it just felt like the dam broke for the New York Liberty. They started this third on a 10-0 run and have just hit their stride. We know these are two of the most efficient teams in the WNBA, first and third in field goal percentage, first and second in three-point percentage. They're first and second in points per game. Actually, when you look at these teams on paper, they're first and second in nearly every major statistical category. Points per game, three-point percentage, assists and blocks per game, 20-point wins. That's a sign of a great team. And if you open it up to top three in the W, you're looking at these two teams, the Lynx and the Liberty. So there was a feeling that once they found that crack, once they found that opportunity where they were able to dictate things a little bit on their own, they took advantage of it. So this play under review right now. Courtney Williams is called for a foul. She goes up to challenge Kennedy Burke at the height of her lay-in. We know the kind of vertical that Courtney Williams has, trying to say there was no contact there. She came immediately over to the bench. So Coach Reeve using her challenge. And it was successful. Another tip of the cap to Coach Reeve, Celia Marfone, and Maddie Schiller, who combined to bring these challenges. And I mentioned it during that game at Barclays, where Minnesota has the second best success rate in challenges in the WNBA at nearly 80%. Only the Las Vegas Aces are higher than that. 56-53 is the New York Liberty lead. The Liberty have the basketball. Burke taking it out deep in the corner. Dejanay Carrington checks into the game at this point, first time in this second half, guarding Ionescu. Ionescu facing up, waiting for a screen from Niesemann. Ionescu will launch a three. There was little breathing room. She still knocked it down. And Ionescu, with her second three today, she's 4 of 11 shooting. She's got 10 points. Now 3 Liberty players in double figures. As Williams goes back to work, has Niesemann on her. She's going to pull up from the mid-range, and she's got it. Williams, the leading scorer in this contest at 19 points, 7 for 12 shooting. She's got 3 rebounds as well, but still just 1 assist in this contest. The scoring has fallen on her today as Ionescu will take Klyundakova to the rim and score. 61-55. Minnesota trails as Heidemann gets to work on the offensive end. Crossing up Ionescu. A 3 for Williams is no good, but that was a nasty move by Natisha Heidemann. Now 1:58 to play before the fourth quarter in a back-and-forth third frame. This is what we've expected between these two teams. I mentioned what Natasha Cloud said after that last loss, where she said the second half, we downshifted. There was a big emphasis to come on strong. The third quarter has been an Achilles heel for this Liberty team this season. They came out strong. 1:45 to play. Minnesota trailing up by 6 points as Johannes has it, guarded by Williams. She's going to reset. 5 seconds to go. She'll come up with something here, and she throws up a 3. That's no good. She had her hips completely faced toward the sideline when she released that shot. Dejanay Carrington will give it up to Heidemann. She was the trailer here on the fast break. Courtney Williams feeling it and drains another 3. Courtney Williams, her third triple today. She's got 22 points through 3 quarters as a timeout is called. Minnesota within 3. 1:18 to go in the third quarter. Courtney Williams bringing her competitiveness and her intensity to get Minnesota back into this one. 1:20 to go here in the third quarter. And for Courtney Williams, she has this ability to, when her team needs it, to put them on her back. This for Courtney is her 9th 20-point game this season. She scored 8 points in this quarter to get up to 22 right now. 8 for 14 shooting, 3 for 5 from long range. That's another one that stands out as well because she's taking more threes this season than she ever has in her career, and she's making them count. And this team is not taking away her mid-range. If you look at her shot chart, straight on, right inside three-point range is where she loves to shoot the ball, from about 15 to 17 feet, right above the free throw line and beyond. But she can also stroke it from long range. 3 today. By far the leading scorer in this game. 22 points. McBride with 12 behind her. Jonquel Jones with 17 on the other side. And as Liberty basketball out of the timeout, the Liberty led by as many as 6 points, and Minnesota has brought the response here in the third. The lob inside, Phoebish misses at close range, but still Liberty basketball. There's a lob inside from Niesemann into Phoebish, the two Europeans. 7 seconds to shoot. Johannes will extend, and she'll miss a lay-in opportunity. Minnesota now with the basketball and accelerating. Carrington will drive hard. Niesemann gets a piece, but is staying Lynx basketball, trailing 61-58 with 53 seconds to go. Minnesota aided by the shooting of Courtney Williams by a challenge that went in their favor. And if they could tie this up, heading into the fourth quarter, that is significant after a very strong third from the Liberty. Along the baseline, Carrington is fouled by Cloud. Courtney Williams was in a little bit of trouble, had to dish it off to Carrington at the last moment. And because Minnesota's in the bonus, that's a couple free throws coming up here for Dejanay Carrington. Against this New York team at Barclays on Sunday, 15 points, 6 of 10 shooting, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Knocks down the first. She shared a funny story on social media today where she said, we were looking at film of this matchup, and included by the coaching staff was one time where she launched a three far beyond the three-point line, but she was so by herself that she kind of fixed her hair. One of those things that you don't realize you're doing just when you're thinking. And it was brought to her attention by the coaching staff to not take that kind of shot when she has that much time. And she said Coach Reeve at the huddle gave her hairpins, bobby pins, so that wouldn't happen again. 39 seconds to go as Ionescu misses a three. Minnesota within one, 61-60. A big free throw there from Dejanay Carrington as Heidemann picks up her dribble in a little bit of trouble, gets it over to Klyundikova, hands it off to Williams. 5 seconds to shoot. She loses it with her dribble. It goes out of bounds, but staying here with Minnesota went off of Maureen Johannes. Now 4 seconds to shoot for the Lynx to try and take this lead heading into the fourth quarter. So Carrington will be taking it out near midcourt, looking for Heidemann. Speed over half court. 2 seconds to shoot. Off balance. That's going to graze the front iron. And Ionescu will snare the rebound. Looking for the rest of her teammates filling their spot. She gets it back from Burke, and she's going to reset. Shot clock is off now. 8 seconds to go before the fourth quarter. Ionescu tries to turn the corner. Will dish it out to Niesemann for three. That's off target. The rebound up for grabs. Phoebish gets it. Can't put it down. The Liberty missing multiple opportunities at the rim in that restricted area, and Minnesota trails by just one heading into the fourth quarter here at Target Center. It is 61-60 New York Liberty. This rematch of the 2024 WNBA Finals. Third meeting this season. A win today for Minnesota would mean they win this season series with one more to go in a couple days. It has been tight in this third quarter. Do not go anywhere. We've got the fourth coming up on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
Hello, listeners. It is with pleasure that I come into your home today, for I know those listening to me now are interested in helping people.
April Bellaccio was 3 years old when her father, Edward Wayne Edwards, recorded this motivational record, selling himself to the world as a reformed criminal.
My life has certainly been anything but good. Exciting, yes. Dangerous, yes. Honest, no.
She was 12 when he came home late one night.
He was muddy, dirty, and he had a bloody nose. A cut on his nose.
I decided that I would put every effort into my rehabilitation program that I had put previously into my career of crime.
As she got older, April began to wonder, why would her father disappear for days at a time? Why were they always packing up and moving in the middle of the night?
Everywhere I went, there was people that we knew or associated with that were being murdered.
The double homicide in one rural community has puzzled investigators for nearly 30 years.
And as I was reading the case, it all rang true. I mean, I remembered everything.
April was 40 when she called the police and turned her dad in.
I love my children very much. Things in our home are never taken for granted.
This is a story about murder and family.
Are you going to keep all these records about yourself and give them to April?
I'm going to tell April everything there is to know
It's a true crime story that's also about our obsession with true crime and the mythic monsters we create.
I believe that my dad was consumed with the Zodiac, but I can look you in the eye and tell you he did not kill John Bonet.
I know, nobody likes that one.
The Clearing from Pineapple Street Media.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one.
I think what we learn is what we know, but it gets reinforced is how gritty we are. Just throw some stuff at us. This team doesn't break. They don't break. You might beat us sometimes, but you're not breaking us. And there's a big difference there. And they have such high belief in one another, high belief, really the whole group. They allow coaching to happen. And there's nobody's sideways and, like, hey, you don't like me. There's a belief in everything. And that collective is really strong. And so you're able to get through tough times, like not having your best player.
That's head coach Cheryl Reeve talking after the most recent win over the New York Liberty. That was on Sunday at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, 83-71, where Minnesota went on a 24-7 tear to turn a 7-point deficit into a 10-point lead. And you saw a little bit of what Coach Reeve is talking about there. Well, we know that those qualities she's describing have described this team all season long, but I think to close out that third quarter, you saw that grittiness of the Lynx. 8 points from Courtney Williams in that third quarter. Kayla McBride trying to assist this team. Her shot's not falling. She gets to the free throw line. They close that third quarter on a 7-2 burst and held New York to just 3 of 9 shooting in the paint in that third quarter. And we head to the fourth here at Target Center in downtown Minneapolis with Minnesota trailing the New York Liberty 61-60. Minnesota in the first half led by as many as 15 points. They did not trail till a couple minutes into this third quarter. It has been back and forth since. So we'll buckle in for the final 10 minutes, third meeting of the season between these two teams. A win for the Lynx would mean taking the season series and this rematch of the 2024 WNBA Finals. 61-60, the Liberty with the lead as Natisha Heidemann gets into the offense for the first possession of this game, and Alana Smith is tripped up by Natisha Heidemann. That was close to being a Minnesota turnover. And she's talking things out with Carrington and Heidemann, making sure they're on the same page. 16 on the shot clock. Is Miesemann guarding Smith in her 7th game in a Liberty uniform, back-to-back 24-point game. She's got 5 today against the Minnesota Lynx. McBride has it, closed out upon aggressively along the three-point line, finds Natisha Heidemann, a hard drive against Johannes. She flips it over to Alana Smith, who skips her way to the rim. That is beautiful playmaking when things had kind of fallen apart on that possession for the Minnesota Lynx, and the connection between Heidemann and Smith working perfectly. 62-61, Minnesota takes back the lead again after it has flip-flopped multiple times in that third quarter. Oh, beautiful pass, and Emma Miesemann is going to score inside. Phoebish, eyes in the back of her head, finding a cutting Miesemann along the baseline, and New York will take the lead right back, 63-62, a minute into this fourth quarter. Carrington delivers it inside. Alana Smith is going to go to work against Phoebish, tricks her, but will miss at close range. Trying to make her think she was going into the paint. She quickly pivoted into along the baseline, but can't convert. And then Maureen Johannes will answer back with a 3. She has got 9 points. That was her first triple. Had been 0 for 4 in this game. The Liberty, 9 of 24. That is 38% for this Liberty team. McBride going to work against Miesemann. Floats it up. A tough angle, and that's no good. And the rebound taken by Ionescu, speeding into the front court. Ionescu trying to get Carrington working every which way, and she's going to draw a foul on Carrington. Just kind of got this Minnesota transition defense a little bit on their heels as she was pushing it up the floor, and Carrington came across her forearm. New York leads 66-62. Bridget Carlton and Courtney Williams set the check in. Carlton's played only 10 minutes in this game. She picked up 2 early fouls, has not scored, 0 for 2 shooting. And Ionescu misses. So we have the 2 best free throw shooters in the WNBA with Ionescu and with Kayla McBride. They've missed a combined 3 free throws. It's kind of fluky. Ionescu has 1 more coming up here. New York has attempted 5 free throws. Minnesota has attempted 21. Second free throw on the way for Ionescu is good. That's the thing about those players. They might miss one, but they're not missing two in a row. 8:23 on the clock. Minnesota trails 67-62. Cleo Dakova has to go track it down at the elbow. Aggressive defense by Jonquel Jones. She gets it away to McBride. McBride is hounded with the double team. Getting downhill, Alana Smith will extend and finish on the lay-in. Because New York is bringing their defense so aggressively to try and disrupt Minnesota's ball movement, there are these backdoor and paint opportunities opening up for the Minnesota Lynx. Here under 8 minutes to play, Minnesota within 3, 67-64. Johannes again gets free off a screen, and she knocks down another three. One of those fading off-balance threes that she has patented. As Courtney Williams thought about a long two. Facing up is Alana Smith. She will spin, extend, and guide it in. Alana Smith showing off everything within her bag right now as she is able to score in multiple ways, being really creative with her post moves and her face-up moves. Kennedy Burke fouled on the other side, was looking for a backdoor pass, and she's knocked down near the rim. Burke today with 10 points, the Liberty with 22 points off the bench, Minnesota with 12, led by 5 points from Heidemann. And Burke with a couple free throws here. Leading scorer in this game, Courtney Williams, with 22 points, her 9th 20-point game this season. And Burke is no good on the first. Burke 75% from the free throw line this season, as Shepard is going to check in for Cleo Dakova. So joining Shepard on the floor, Smith, Carlton, McBride, and Williams, the starting group out right now with 7:23 to play. Burke good on the second. It is a 71-66 Liberty lead, 7:20 to go. Minnesota going to work offensively, running it through. Alana Smith has it from beyond the three-point line, hands it up to Courtney Williams. Drop down inside to Alana Smith. She misses at close range, gets her own offensive rebound, though. A beautiful pass by Williams. Now in the hands of Jessica Shepard. She'll knock down the mid-range. Just that short corner shot, she was ready and knocked it down. Shepard today with 12 points, 7 rebounds, and a couple of assists, and she gets the steal. Jessica Shepard gathers, goes up strong, and she is fouled. Jessica Shepard, with her play in big ways in small, is changing this game. (71-68) is the Liberty lead, and Shepard, this will be her 7th and 8th free throw attempts of this game. That is how many the Liberty have as a team. Shepard good on the first. Now 5 for 7 in this contest as Bieseman's going to check out. She's going to get a blow right now before the home stretch of this one. 71-69, Minnesota trails. 13 points, 7 rebounds for Shepard, 4 of 5 shooting, just exactly what this team needs from her. Leads this team in plus-minus at +6. And Shepard will go 1 for 2. Rebound ripped off the rim by Jones. And for Jones, that is just her 3rd rebound today. She's got 17 points, leading her team in scoring. Liberty back on offense, going underneath the screen. Cloud for 3. That's left short. And the long rebound tracked down by Courtney Williams. Throws it up ahead to McBride. McBride takes a look, uses a screen from Shepard. The hesitation, drops it inside to Shepard. She misses right at the rim. Offensive rebound. Alana Smith comes streaking down into the paint, and she's fouled. Liberty not agreeing with that call, but Minnesota taking advantage of these extra opportunities. 71-69, they trail with 2 free throws coming up here for Alana Smith with 6:17 to go. And Alana Smith, good on the first. She's shooting under 50% from the free throw line this season. And goes 2 for 2. Should we call that the reverse announcer jinx? We're tied up at 71, 6:13 to play here at Target Center. Fans on their feet. Burke gives a look inside. Jones tied up with Smith. Very hard battle between those two in the paint. Now 8 seconds to suit. Johannes tries to get free. The give and go. She gets it right back. Thought about fading. Will take Smith off the dribble. But Alana Smith, the last line of defense with the denial. sprinting the floor. Wide open McBride for three. The roof was about ready to come off this place if she knocked that down. We're still tied at 71 with 5:30 to go. Phoebish one-on-one against Bridget Carlton, sweeps across the lane, and she will finish a strong post move by the 6'4" second-year player. And New York takes a 2-point lead, 73-71, 5:24 to go. Williams gets free, but looks down inside Alana Smith. A higher percentage shot will knock it down after she guides it in for two. Tied up at 73, approaching 5 minutes to go in this rematch of the 2024 WNBA Finals, third of 4 meetings this season. Minnesota with a win today will take the season series. Jones faces up against Smith, attacks right at her, loses the basketball. It's staying New York possession. And Smith a little bit slow to get up, but as we know, she always gets back up. Something I asked head coach Sandy Brondello, her Australian national team head coach. She said that is what we instill in our players. If you're bleeding, get up, no matter what, you're getting up. Tied up at 73, a timeout called on the floor. 4:55 to play here at Target Center. Stick with us, plenty more coming your way on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
It's what you wait for all week. The three-pointers, the rebounds, the thrill of every shot. Win or lose, it's the hope that keeps you coming back. The dream that this time, it might be your year. And so you represent with anticipation and with pride. Because when the pressure's on, your support is everything. That's why the NBA store is here to support you. Check out the largest selection of official NBA gear at NBAstore.com. A Fanatics experience.
At Target, we're home court advantage for the hometown sports fans. And with the Timberwolves season in full gear, we're here to help you gear up and make your game day prep a slam dunk. Hear that? That's what you call a buzzer-beating three-pointer for the win. Time to dish up your famous nachos or put a full-court press on some jalapeno poppers. Then serve up some sweet desserts to celebrate the W. However you do game day, we're here for it at Target and Target.com.
Alex Leibel with you in our WNBA Tonight studios for one more scoreboard update. The Lynx and the Liberty are the only game going on right now in the WNBA. All eyes on this one at the Target Center, but we got 5 games going on tomorrow, a busy slate on Sunday. The Indiana Fever are in Connecticut facing off against the 6-26 Connecticut Sun. Fever are still without Caitlin Clark as she's dealing with that groin injury. The LA Sparks, one of the hotter teams in the league, are facing off against the Washington Mystics, who are 15-18 on the year. They tip off just after 2 p.m. as the Sparks are just a half game behind the Storm for that final playoff spot. The Dallas Wings are in Las Vegas facing off against the Aces tomorrow. Tip off just after 2:30 as the Aces have won 8 of their last 9. The Phoenix Mercury in Seattle facing off against the 517-17 Seattle Storm, who have lost 6 of their last 7. So they are trying to hold on for that last playoff spot as hard as they can. And the Atlanta Dream at 21-12, tied with the Liberty on record right now, face the Golden State Valkyries just after 7:30. The Dream have won 6 out of 7 heading into that one. Let's head back into the Target Center for an exciting finish with Sloan Martin.
It's also a tight finish between those two, trying to vie for that second place spot in the WNBA standings between New York and the Atlanta Dream. This would be significant for New York, who have back-to-back games against the Minnesota Lynx to try and get one, to eke at least one out in this series. Minnesota has taken the first 2 games, but we are tied up at 73 apiece with 4:55 to go here at Target Center. The Minnesota Lynx have dropped a single game on their home court this season. It was against the Atlanta Dream, who are one of the top teams in the W this year. They are 16-1 here in downtown Minneapolis. 6 days between games. A well-rested team, not always the case for Minnesota this season, but put to the test here against New York. 4 seconds on the shot clock, and it looks like we're going to be cleaning up the floor here for a moment. Lynx basketball is brought to you by Treasure Island Resort and Casino, the exclusive casino partner of the Minnesota Lynx. So still working on the floor here, 4:55 to go. It is Liberty basketball on the floor for Minnesota, the starting group. Of course, no Brianna Stewart, no Nafisa Collier. Double clutching is Emma Meeseman. She misses the rebound, ripped down by Alana Smith, and it's going to be Minnesota basketball. And again, Natasha Cloud absolutely fired up. She's already been teed up in this game. and it is going to be New York basketball. So her protests does pay off. But dangerous there to see her explosive reaction when she's already been teed up in this game once before. 4:50 to play. It is New York basketball, but Alana Smith picks it up. Ball don't lie. Minnesota back with possession. Courtney Williams in transition. Can't knock it down. Links off the back iron. And now taken back by the Liberty. We are still tied up at 73 with 4:30 to go in this fourth quarter. Kennedy Burke hesitates, then takes off. Miesemann wide open, an ocean around her from three, and she knocks it down. And for Miesemann, her second triple today, she's got 10 points. Has not been a huge factor offensively, coming off of back-to-back 24-point outputs in their recent games. Kayla McBride gets herself to the rim, can't convert. And the rebound taken by the Liberty, now in the hands of Ionescu, guarded by Alana Smith. They'll work it around the perimeter. Phoebish almost loses her footing. Very tight defense by Bridget Carlton. They switch again. She's guarding Cloud now with 7 seconds left. Cloud will drive, kick it out to Ionescu, who's standing near the opposite sideline. Then she throws it out of bounds. That's something Minnesota was able to evoke a lot in that second matchup between these two teams. They forced 20 turnovers, scoring 22 points off of them. The Liberty with their 12th turnover, 10 Minnesota points in this one. Minnesota trails by 3, 76-73. Courtney Williams will drive and dish to Shepard for 2. Courtney Williams has been masterful, especially in this second half, sharing the basketball. She's up to now 4 assists for the Minnesota Lynx. Miesemann can't track down the basketball, eventually gets it back in her possession. Cloud darts her way to the rim and converts for 2. 78-75, Minnesota trails. We are going back and forth. Minnesota summoning the grit we know this team has. You heard it from Coach Reed coming into this fourth quarter after that second win of the season against the Liberty. But right here, she's going to call a timeout. Her team trailing by a single possession. 3:07 to go as we step aside here on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
Okay, Miss Watts. Everything seems to be in order here, except your vehicle registration.
How's that now?
Who is Earl Watts again?
Yeah, I told you. That's my father.
Okay, so why are you driving his rig?
I'm just covering for him. It's temporary. Look, I didn't do anything illegal, right?
We'll find out.
Okay, because I really need to get this trailer delivered on time.
Ma'am, sit tight, or this can take a heck of a lot longer.
You ever driven a reefer?
What?
A refrigerated trailer. Do you know how to handle one?
What the hell is this place?
Ray, what is it?
It's a tight schedule. You hand off to the receiver by 5 a.m. so you don't get too many pit stops.
Hold up, I don't get to expect it first?
We bolt seal all our trailers. Novanto's policy. That's not going to be a problem, is it?
Ray, I hope you know what you're doing.
A sealed trailer. Now that could be anything. Drugs, plutonium, aliens.
Mr. Caldwell, I need to know what I'm transporting here. It isn't just corn back there, is it?
What did you see?
Q Code presents Carrier, starring Cynthia Erivo. Written and directed by Dan Blank.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
Jess gives us a really different look in that she's just got amazing vision and a really elite passer. And so when Jess gets it, I cut and I'm always looking for the ball because I know somehow she's going to get it to me. And I think she's just been able to do that and also be a threat offensively too, the way she can work in the post as well, which is really, really cool. And yeah, it's been really fun just spacing off of her and receiving from her as well. She makes some really, really good plays.
It's Alana Smith talking about the evolution of her playing alongside Jessica Shepard. Those two have combined for all 15 of Minnesota's fourth quarter points. Alana Smith herself with 10 of those points on 4 of 6 shooting, and not even a 3 in there. And Jessica Shepard 2 of 3 shooting for 5 points. So it is this reconstructed front court in the absence of Nafisa Collier that has been leading the charge for the Minnesota Lynx in this fourth quarter. They trail by 3 here in crunch time, 78-75, trying to take 3 straight games in the regular season against the New York Liberty, a team clawing for that second place spot behind the Minnesota Lynx in the WNBA standings. Kayla McBride will take it out. Starters on the floor for the Minnesota Lynx, including Shepard and Smith, as Williams, guarded by the 6'4" Phoebish, will hand it off to McBride. She's being defended by Cloud. The mid-range on the way by Williams, splashed home for 2. Courtney Williams with 24 points on 9 of 16 shooting, 5 rebounds, 4 assists as well. One of those games for Courtney Williams. She has it all going. Kennedy Burke is going to take Shepard off the bounce. She misses at the rim. Minnesota on the attack once more. Smith will thread it over to Shepard along the baseline. She's blocked by Miesman, but no foul. A strong, confident, aggressive take by Jessica Shepard, who is playing the best basketball of her WNBA career. Drafted 2019, did not play with this team last season. You heard my conversation with her at halftime about how much fun it is playing with this team. Winning helps, certainly. But her game has taken off, and she deserves consideration for 6th Player of the Year, as of course does Natisha Heidemann. 2:29 to go. The first free throw missed by Shepard, where at the free throw line today, she's 5 for 9. That's a big number of attempts. That is more than the Liberty collectively. This next free throw is no good. She tried to snare it off the rim, but it will be a 1-point Minnesota deficit, 78-77. It has been back and forth in this second half. Minnesota led the first 20 minutes, lost a 15-point lead, and we have battled back and forth, blow for blow since. Burke is going to retreat, get it back out to Cloud. 5 seconds to shoot. She's pushed far away from the rim. She's going to take off against McBride, fades against McBride, and Minnesota makes the stop. McBride will accelerate up the floor. Cloud catches up with her. Carlton thought about an in-rhythm 3, waits for a screen from Shepard. Williams has been the hot hand in this game, the leading scorer, 24 points. They go underneath the screen. Phoebish is on her. She stops on a dime, steps through, and floats it up and in. Courtney Williams has decided this is her game. This is her quarter. The most points she has scored as a member of the Minnesota Lynx, 26 points for Courtney Williams on 17 shots today as a timeout is called. Courtney Williams has been putting everything on display. Her career high, by the way, 34 points. That came all the way back in 2018. This is one of the best games, not just of this season, not just of her Lynx career, but her career overall, especially considering the magnitude of this regular season matchup between two teams that met in the 2024 WNBA Finals, where Minnesota is trying to go 3-0. That is a statement. You beat this New York Liberty team even without Nafisa Collier, even without Brianna Stewart on the floor. That is a statement to the rest of the league, as if they still needed to make it. When you look at this team that by far leads the W in point differential, that has a 6.5 game lead in the standings in the top spot. This is a Lynx team that is putting together one of the most dominant seasons in WNBA history. I talked about their point differential, 11.3 points per game. Only 6 teams in W history have ever had a positive point differential in double digits. All of them have won a WNBA championship. Minnesota leads 79-78. McBride almost with the steal in the passing lane against UNESCO on the sideline out of bounds, and back to work defensively. 1:35 left. UNESCO hands it off to Phoebish. Phoebish has to get it outside. It's Kennedy Burke for 3. That bounces out. Long rebound tracked down by Burke. It's going to stay Liberty basketball. Lob inside and picked off by Carlton. It was crowded there in the back of the end zone. It was Carlton jumping up and picking it off. Minnesota leads by 1, 79-78, as Williams works through a crowded screen. Has now Burke on her. She's going to throw up a three, leaves it way short, and the rebound tracked down by Jones. An early shot there with the shot clock by Williams. Minnesota leads by 1, 79-78, under a minute to play. We're going down to the wire here in downtown Minneapolis as Alana Smith comes up with a block against Ionescu. She keeps control of the possession, throws it up, no good, and no whistle. 45 seconds left as Williams speeds into the front court. She is going to be fouled. And head coach Cheryl Reeve is talking to a referee right now. Very emphatically, Ryan Sassano. A timeout is called, but Reeve fired up about something. But Alana Smith, the stop of all stops on the other side against the darting Ionescu. 45 seconds on the clock. This is a full Minnesota timeout. So remember, Coach Reeve still has that challenge in her pocket. She has one timeout remaining as well. 79-78 is Minnesota's lead in this timeout. Hey, Lynx fans, want to own a signed Rebel jersey? Bid on exclusive gear at the Lynx Rebel auction this coming Sunday, including game-worn jerseys from that day's matchup with the Fever and 2025 All-Star jerseys signed by Nafisa Collier, Courtney Williams, and Kayla McBride. Learn more at lynxbasketball.com/auction. 45 seconds on the clock. Minnesota attempting to go 3-0 against the New York Liberty. Minnesota already at 27-5 has tied the all-time best mark through 32 games to start a WNBA season. Looking to go to 28-5, 17-1 here at Target Center. An insurmountable place to play. They lead by 1, 79-78, 44 seconds on the clock. Starters on the court for the Minnesota Lynx. Bridget Carlton is going to be the inbounder coming out of this Lynx timeout. Miesemann checks back into the game. They go into Smith, and now Williams has it near the logo, and she's not moving. Blanketed by Cloud. Screen comes from Smith. They switch on the screen. Williams has Cloud back on her. A deep three by McBride. Yes! Kayla McBride shrugs her shoulders with an emphatic three. Timeout called by the New York Liberty with 30.8 seconds left. No short-term memory for Kayla McBride, who had been cold shooting today. She's 3 of 14 overall, 2 of 7 from 3, but she's got 15 points, and she has willed herself to those 15 points. No one you want more. Launching from 27 feet. Actually, that might be 29 feet. Then Kayla McBride, game on the line. The Minnesota Lynx lead 82-78 with 30.8 seconds left. And you heard that crowd in this moment explode in this building, blowing the roof off this place. The first matchup between these two teams on July 30th, it felt like a finals game. This fan base was hungry to see this team again, to show off what this 2025 team can do compared to the last time they were here. Feeling the same vibes here today from this crowd. 30.8 seconds left. It is Liberty basketball. Minnesota leads by 4. That is significant. 82-78. They get it in to Natasha Cloud. Cloud, not a lot of space to work. She'll drop it inside, and a quick 2 converted by Febish. That was a well-drawn-up play by Coach Brondello. Coach Reeve is going to use a reset timeout right here. And she's also going to bring in Dejanay Carrington for a substitution. She'll come in, or it looked like she was coming in. Maybe she wants the defensive substitution later on. Carrington getting some clarification. She's going back to her seat. So a 2-point lead for the Lynx, 82-87, 27 seconds to go. Another timeout called here. This is going to be Coach Reeve using another timeout with her team leading by 2, 82-80. 27.2 seconds left. And Minnesota trying to go 3-0 against the Liberty this season. They will face off again at Barclays Center in just a couple days. That's on the 19th. To complete this 4-game series. 3 straight games Minnesota has played against this Liberty team. And Coach Reeve talked before the game about how it obviously assists scouting and strategizing when it is so fresh in these players' minds from playing them 3 straight times. You don't have to remind them of a lot of things. But she said, we're expecting something completely different in this game. New York has significantly cut their turnovers. They had 20 in the last game, 13 right now. They have shot better in this second half. And they have challenged Minnesota much more because their offense against New York, they had scored 100 and then 83 points, had shot 49% in both games, had a 52-20 assist-to-turnover ratio. And New York has challenged the Lynx going down to the wire. 27.2 seconds left. Minnesota leading 82-80. And with the basketball, far sideline out of bounds for Bridget Carleton. Tishané Carrington into the game for the Minnesota Lynx. They get it into Carrington. She tries to rip it away. It's going to be a jump ball. Carrington can't believe it. On the floor for Minnesota is Williams, Carleton, Carrington, McBride, and Smith. And Jessica Shepard is set to check in right now. And now there's some argument coming from Brondello's side, having a chat with Jenna Renaud. Shepard is going to check in for Carleton. So Carrington stays in. She's involved in this jump ball. 82-80, Minnesota leads. 25.2 seconds left. Can they get the ball to Kayla McBride eventually? Tapped out long. A couple players go down. Is tracked down by McBride. Then she's held up by Cloud. Exactly what they needed to do was get the ball in the hands of Kayla McBride. It was not pretty. Jessica Shepard and Sabrina Ionescu went down. They tumbled trying to go for that jump ball. Eventually it trickles away to McBride. And she's stepping to the free throw line to shoot to exactly what she wants to do late in this game. Minnesota with no timeouts left. The Liberty with 1. They lead by 2. These critical to make it a 4-point game. The shot clock will be off. 20.5 seconds left. McBride misses the front end. That is her 3rd miss today. She had only missed 5 free throws her first 80 attempts of the season. She's 7 for 10 this afternoon. Stepping up for the second. She's not going to miss 2 in a row. A 3-point game, 83-80, 20.5 seconds left. But that miss does at least open the door for the New York Liberty. Especially these two being the top 3-point shooting teams in the WNBA. 20.5 seconds left. Minnesota up by 3. It is New York basketball. The Liberty with 1 timeout remaining. They have it on their side of the floor. In to Natasha Cloud, gets the step, but she will miss the layup. The rebound brought down by Smith. Kayla McBride with the basketball now. The foul delivered. 12.5 seconds to go. Two free throws here for Kayla McBride. You know she wants this opportunity badly after missing the front end the last time she was at the free throw line. Shepard has attempted 10 free throws. McBride has attempted 11 before this trip. The New York Liberty have attempted 8 as a team, and McBride will again miss the front end. She kind of has an incredulous smile. I don't know if she's maybe ever missed 4 free throws in a game. Has her head back in frustration, shakes her head. She's ready to lock back in. 8 for 12 in this game. And again, will knock down the second. It's a 4-point Minnesota lead, 84-80, 10 seconds left. McBride fouls Ionescu, goes to help her back up. Nice gesture there by McBride. It was a hard foul, nearly into the national TV table here at Target Center. 8.6 seconds to go and a 4-point lead for the Minnesota Lynx. It'll be Emma Miesemann bringing the ball out on the other side of half court. She gets it into Ionescu. Ionescu is going to launch a three. That's no good. The rebound secured by Jessica Shepard. She's fouled. 3.6 seconds left. (84-80) is Minnesota's lead, and Jessica Shepard, who is 5 of 10 from the free throw line today, will step up. She has got another double-double in this contest. 15 points and 10 rebounds today for the Minnesota Lynx. And she will knock down the first free throw. And for Jessica Shepard this season, that is her 6th double-double. So Courtney Williams, her 9th 20-point game of the season. 6 double-doubles for Jessica Shepard. That ties her career high for a season. Going back to 2022, she knocks down both. Minnesota leads by 6. Sabrina Ionescu will dribble it out. And in a season chock full of them, another message sent by the Minnesota Lynx. Minnesota has taken 3 of 3 games against the New York Liberty. They will take the season series with one more meeting awaiting them on August 19th at Barclays in Brooklyn. It is hard to rank Minnesota Lynx wins. There have been a lot of them. They are now, as of this moment, 28-5 this season, 17-1 here at Target Center, staving off a really strong second half by the New York Liberty. And I think it feels like I'm saying it after every game because it rings true after each buzzer sounds. This is certainly one of the best wins for the Lynx this season. Not everything went their way, but another example of what Coach Reeves says. We will bend, but no team will break us. We might lose, but you will not break us. And yet again, on display. And for folks who are wondering, Dejanay Carrington is taking part in their dance celebration here at Target Center. She had to get it down, had to learn it. There's also birthday party hats for Pearl's birthday that they're celebrating with as well. Just great feelings all around after the Minnesota Lynx have taken their 3rd regular season meeting against the New York Liberty. And without Napheesa Collier, this team is 4-0 without Fee in this latest stretch of games, and she is getting closer and closer to returning. They have only 1 loss in her absence, and another emphatic one here today. Kayla McBride joining us. Welcome again. Congratulations on this win. Mac, it felt like another example of this team gutting out a win. Just a gritty victory. How did it feel to you to pull it out, especially with the way the Liberty were playing in that second half?
Man, I'm sorry, I'm still coming down from the game. It was a grind, mentally, physically. We just played them a couple days ago, coming back. We're all trying to figure it out without 2 of the best players in the world, so it doesn't always look pretty. But I'm just so proud of our toughness, our resilience. And it's everybody. I thought Jess Shepard came to play today. Physically, just putting herself in there, getting to the free throw line, 7 for 12. That's great. It's just a team effort. And that's what it always is for us. And we treat these games like playoff games. Mentally and physically tough. And I thought we did that today.
Mac, you had that dagger 3. It was deep. Your shot had not been falling as you wanted it to. But take us through stepping up in that moment that you want to have the ball.
It's tough, when you haven't been making them. Ones that I know I can make, so just trusting my work, trusting the timing. It's not easy, when you're missing all those shots and things that feel good, but just staying tough and remaining confident. And when the ball came to me, I was like, I got to shoot it. it was the time for it, and it was good. It gave us a little bit of breathing room. I'm still upset about my 4 missed free throws. It's crazy. I don't think I've ever missed 4 free throws in a game.
I said those exact same words.
I think that's the first time I think ever. It's tough not playing 5 days because the normal cadence of the every other day, every 2 days. And so I was feeling that a little bit, but nonetheless, I thought Courtney Williams carried us from the beginning to the end. And it's just a team effort. Like, there's never anybody on any island, and that's what it's about. I never feel alone out there. I'm always being encouraged, and my teammates always picking me up, and vice versa. So that's the name of the game. That's what makes us special.
You were able to overcome that, Mac. You talked about Courtney Williams and Jessica Shepard. Is this another example of each player having to individually elevate their game in some way in the absence of Fee, and going 4-0 without her recovering from this ankle injury?
For sure. And, Fee's our biggest fan right now. She's so proud of us and how we're playing. And I know she's itching to get back. But right now, we just got to focus on, and it's helping us too. You never know what's going to happen. Regular season, playoffs. If Fee's not on the floor. So everybody has to elevate a little bit right now. We're building confidence day by day, moment by moment. And like I said, we just have a great leader in Cheryl. I can't say that enough. We always feel so prepared for any and everything. And so when we're out there, it doesn't matter what the lineup is, what the situation is, we feel prepared. I mean, at least speaking for myself. And that starts with her. So kudos to her. And, it's just a team effort. And we're all cheering for each other, excited for each other, whatever it takes. And big one today.
Mac, last one for you before I let you go. Another game against the New York Liberty coming up. You're going back to Barclays Center. Don't want to think too far ahead, but just the ability to potentially get a sweep there, going back into that building, and to play a one-team 3 straight games at this point in the season.
Yeah, you just treat it like a playoff series. I mean, I think it's kind of preparation for that. The adjustments that each team is making. I mean, Cloud started on me today. They're mixing it up. They're mixing up their defense. And just seeing what they got, too, and just being able to adjust as the game goes on, the game within the game. I think that's really, really something valuable for us. Just being able to see the same team, scheme a little bit different, whatever. But like I said, it's just whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to get the dubs, what we're going to do. And that's what this team is built off of. So it's good dub for us.
You got this building explosive in here. That was great. Appreciate it. Congrats again.
Thanks, so.
Kayla McBride joining us here after Minnesota's 86-80 win over the New York Liberty. And that sounds exactly like her, where she would notice, I don't think I've ever missed 4 free throws in a game, but she came up incredibly huge in that fourth quarter, finishes with 17 points. Always great checking in with Kayla McBride. Minnesota improves to 28-5 this season, 17-1 in this building. A remarkable season continues to build for the Minnesota Lynx as they increase their lead in the standings, including against this Liberty team, chasing them down, or at least trying to, with limited time to go. All right, our post-game show is up next here on the Lynx Radio Network. When we come back, we'll see if we can check in on any post-game press conferences here at Target Center. I'll break things down, how we got to this point. Minnesota with their 3rd consecutive win against the New York Liberty. They have won 6 straight overall. Lots to talk about here. You're listening to Minnesota Lynx basketball.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
Here at Dateline, we're used to spending months or even years pursuing a story. We've learned a lot along the way. So we thought we'd share and let you in on a few things. A friend of mine who's a homicide detective says all murders can be chalked up to either love, money, or pride. And this mystery would be no exception. Was it love?
I think we were head over heels for one another.
Money.
Over the years, he had accumulated hundreds of thousands of dollars in his account.
He didn't miss an angle, did he? No, sir. There was a pattern. Or pride.
It's just a man's pride being walked all over. That was his ego that she stepped all over.
This is a tale so twisted, it would take not just one murder, but 2 for the killer's motive to come to light. I'm Josh Mankiewicz. I've been reporting here on Dateline for more than 25 years. And this is Motive for Murder, a new podcast from Dateline.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
guarded by Cloud. Screen comes from Smith. They switch on the screen. Williams has Cloud back on her. A deep three by McBride. Yes! Keila McBride shrugs her shoulders with an emphatic three. Timeout called by the New York Liberty with 30.8 seconds left. No short-term memory for Keila McBride, who had been cold shooting today. She's 3 of 14 overall, 2 of 7 from 3, but she's got 15 points, and she has willed herself to those 15 points. That was tonight's Mayo Clinic Moment of Excellence. At Mayo Clinic, we're doing what's never been done. That was the eventual dagger by Keila McBride, who is so exquisite to watch play this game. She is closing in on 700 career threes. She is 3 away from that monumental milestone to become the 7th player in WNBA history to reach it. We are watching one of the best shooters in WNBA history, who is so precious to this team, what she brings offensively and defensively. And it was so impressive to see her just not have the kind of shooting night she wanted to, but to erase that from her memory and knock down a 29-foot three to try and put the Liberty to bed. This is a really, really cool moment for Keila McBride, who, as I said there, willed herself to her final 17 points. 9 of those points came from the free throw line, even though she did miss 4 of them. And she joked, I don't think I've ever missed 4 in a game before. Of course, that's something a shooter of her stature would decide to focus on. But you heard from her talking to me here about just how proud she was of being a complete effort. Minnesota wins this one over the Liberty 86-80, improving to 28-5 this season, 17-1 at Target Center, and what is becoming one of the best seasons historically in WNBA annals, and just how they continue to pile up these wins. I know there was no Breanna Stewart on the other side, but there was no Napheesa Collier on this one for the 4th straight game, and Minnesota is 4-0 in those games. They win the season series against the New York Liberty by getting their 3rd victory against this team. There's one more coming up, and we'll talk about that in our next segment, looking ahead. And Keila McBride also told me, too, we're treating it like a playoff series. We're already starting to see those little adjustments where it transforms into that chess game. Not that regular season games are not important or exciting, but having 3 straight games against one opponent, you really start to get down to that nitty gritty. And I think that's something that makes this win even more extraordinary is, of course, the Liberty had a back-to-back on the road between these 2 games, but they brought something different, and they have the capability of doing that and made it incredibly tough, especially in that second half. Let's talk about how this one went down here. Minnesota led the entire first half of this game. In fact, they built up a 15-point lead at one point. The New York Liberty started this game 2 for 11 shooting, and Minnesota was clamping down defensively. These are the top 2 shooting teams in the WNBA. Well, they're really top 2 in most major statistical categories, certainly top 3 nearly every major statistical category of both these teams. Is the New York Liberty jostle with the Atlanta Dream for that number 2 spot, distantly behind the the Minnesota Lynx. But Minnesota, after that first quarter, led the Liberty 21-12, led by as many as 9 points, just rolling well offensively, shot 44% from the floor, and that continued into the second quarter as well. They were outscored by the Liberty in the second quarter, but they started it on a 14-2 run, opened up a 15-point lead. The Liberty started 0 for 9 from long range. This is one of the most prolific and most efficient three-point shooting teams in the WNBA this season. They're second in three-point percentage to the Minnesota Lynx, and they're tied for first in threes per game in the WNBA this season. So to keep this team at bay from that distance, which is so important to them, how they spread the floor, they really do play a positionless kind of basketball, even in the absence of Breanna Stewart. So to keep them 0 for 9 was really good news for this Minnesota Lynx defense. They slowed down offensively in that second quarter, shot just 32%, 1 for 6 from long range, but again, built up that 15-point lead. But it was the third quarter where the New York Liberty would come storming back. They were able to knock down threes after they started 0 for 9. They hit 3 of their next 5. It all started with Leonie Fibish, who was able to basically, get the dam broken to have this team start knocking down more threes in that third quarter alone. The New York Liberty, after starting 0 for 9, were 5 of 9 overall in that third quarter alone, shot 52%. And this building was starting to see this New York Liberty team that's gain speed, gain traction, start to find their stride as a unit for this team that now falls to 21-13 this season. They were playing how they wanted to, and they were starting to dictate things in that third quarter, but Minnesota thought this was such a critical point of this game. They lost their lead that they had for the entire game a couple minutes into that third quarter, but closed the third on a little 7-2 burst, but that was enough to go into that fourth quarter within one possession and a very strong finish. They held the New York Liberty just 3 for 9 in the paint in that third quarter. Another great example of how the defense was really strong and I think consistent in this game, even facing a barrage at times by the New York Liberty with so many weapons and shooters that they have on the floor. Looking at the fourth quarter, Alana Smith picked things up. She had 10 fourth quarter points for the Minnesota Lynx, playing all 10 minutes, 4 of 6 shooting, also had 3 rebounds and 2 blocks. She was +7 in that fourth quarter. And that was a huge difference maker for the Minnesota Lynx, who in that fourth quarter knocked out 53% of their shots. Just 1 3. They were able to pull this out, not having it really going from long range, just 1 of 3 in their attempts. They outscore the Liberty 26-19. Of course, Minnesota comes in as the more well-rested team. Not something you could say very often this season. Minnesota improves to 6-0 this season with at least 3 days rest, including now 3-0 on 5 days rest, and getting this victory. And I think you saw that in the fourth quarter. Kayla McBride, you just heard that coming in to this segment, that dagger 3 from 29 feet. Just absolutely fearless. Someone who wants the spotlight, wants the ball in her hands for the big moment, whether it is a flashy 3 or scoring at the free throw line as well, which she did just enough to make sure Minnesota was able to get this 6-point victory. And I'm thinking about the Minnesota Lynx, who did a fun social media content video this week where they asked players to rank their favorite ways to score, and it listed layups, post-ups, mid-range threes. And Kayla McBride just wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 under threes. So clearly making the point that that is her game. That's what she likes. And to do that and step up here when that spotlight was really, really bright here in the regular season, that was very impressive to see. Looking at this final box score, Minnesota shoots 43% from the field. New York, 45%. They led by as many as 15 points, trailed by just 2 possessions, and that was it. But it was a battle back and forth between these two teams. 30 points in the paint compared to the Liberty's 34 points. They're able to force 13 turnovers, scoring 12 points off of them. So the Liberty limited that a little bit, but Minnesota's still able to make its imprint there and improving to 17-1 on the season in this building. They still out-rebound the New York Liberty just narrowly, but Minnesota's made great strides in that category. The last 13 games, so a big chunk of time, they're plus 2.3 over their opponent on the glass. But the first 19 games right out of the gate, they were out-rebounded in 13 of those games and had a negative 0.5 rebound differential. So not a huge number, but I think significant over time to see that kind of improvement, something Coach Reeve has been really trying to get out of her team this season. Minnesota with 4 in double figures, led by Courtney Williams, 26 points. She had 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 10 of 18 shooting. She came up so big for this Lynx team, especially because her favorite shot, her mid-range, had not been working how she wanted it to against this Liberty team. In the 2 games, she had been shooting 4 for 21 from the mid-range. That's 19%, 4 for 10 anywhere else on the floor. And she's shooting more in the absence of Fee, 17 attempts per game. So she has picked up a significant load for this team. And to see her execute it all was really, really impressive by Courtney Williams. Kayla McBride mentioned her 17 points with just 3 of 14 shooting, but 9 of 13 from the free throw line. Minnesota shot 33 free throws compared to 8 for the New York Liberty. Jessica Shepard herself outshot the New York Liberty. She went 7 for 12. She had 17 points, her 6th double-double of the season. The next one will set a new career high for double-doubles in a season. So that was a great game by Jessica Shepard. You heard Kayla McBride give her a specific shout out to how hard she played. We are seeing, and it's happened throughout this season. I thought maybe today was the best demonstration of her aggressive demeanor and mentality, where she is willing to take over certain possessions when she's needed to. So not doing too much, not expanding her game beyond what it is right now with, what the coaching staff wants to get from her on the floor. Thought it was maybe one of her best games, getting this double-double, but also the way she played, that intensity, getting to the free throw line. It was fun to watch. Alana Smith with 14 points. I should mention about Jessica Shepard too. She was plus 14 in this game, the next highest behind her on her team were Bridget Carlton and Courtney Williams at plus 8. So significant impact on the floor. Alana Smith with 14 points, 10 of those in the fourth quarter, 4 blocks in this game, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. What more can you say about Alana Smith? She was talked about a lot this week at practice about Cheryl Reeves saying she should be in the conversation, if not leading, for Defensive Player of the Year. It's gone from, hey, she should be first team all defense, no, Defensive Player of the Year for this team. And that was something applauded by her Australian national team head coach, Sandy Brondello, to me before this game, who just said how proud she was of how she's been playing, especially this season, seeing her as the anchor of this team, a great fit, just a joy when she goes out there. She said of Alana Smith, this is from Brondello, you are seeing her full potential. And I think that was on display in this game as well. For the Liberty, they get 6 players in double figures. They're one of the teams that is really uniquely able to do that multiple times. I believe the 7th time they have done that this season, with Johannes with 12 points off the bench, Burke with 11 off the bench. Their leading scorer, Jonquel Jones, 17 points on 11 shots. Sabrina Ionescu, 13 points, but 5 of 16 shooting, 2 of 7 from long range. She did have 10 rebounds and a couple assists in this game. Natasha Cloud with 10 points and 6 assists. And Emma Miesemann limited to just 10 points on 50% shooting. She had 5 fouls as well. Had come into this contest with back-to-back games of at least 24 points. All right, Alex and I are going to be back to wrap things up when we return right here on the Lynx Radio Network.
Hit the green and the gaming floor with Treasure Island Resort and Casino's Golf and Stay Hotel Package. Play a round of golf for 2 at Mount Frontenac Golf Course. Then make the short drive to the island and get in on the action with $50 free slot play. After a fun-filled day, unwind with a one-night stay in our luxurious hotel. Book your stay now at TICasino.com. Treasure Island Resort and Casino. Destination fun.
It's what you wait for all week. The three-pointers, the rebounds, the thrill of every shot. Win or lose, it's the hope that keeps you coming back. The dream that this time, it might be your year. And so you represent with anticipation and with pride. Because when the pressure's on, your support is everything. That's why the NBA store is here to support you. Check out the largest selection of official NBA gear at NBAstore.com. A Fanatics experience.
Target Center, the Minnesota Lynx take their 3rd consecutive regular season game against the New York Liberty. 86-80 is the final. They score 26 fourth quarter points, a dagger 3 by Kayla McBride, knocking down free throws just enough down the stretch for a 6-point victory. And that is 3 straight wins in this series with the New York Liberty. They win the season series with a chance to sweep on August 19th. Head coach Cheryl Reeve, though, talking to media right here at Target Center after this win.
didn't knock as many down as she did in New York, which she was tremendous in New York. Courtney is really good about sensing when the team needs her. And she was obviously able to, create and find different ways to score, not just her own offense, but now it gives you fits. You bring in 2 to her, maybe you didn't mean to bring 2 to her, and boom, as soon as that step you take that's wrong, she's getting a post player for a layup. So, congratulations to Court on a heck of a game. We needed every bit of what she did.
Coach, you talked about New York kind of flipping the game second, third quarter. Into the fourth quarter, 10 of Land's 14 points came in the fourth quarter, 17 of the 26 fourth quarter points coming between Land and Jess. Just how big were the minutes between those two just offensively to get you guys going on that end of the floor?
Yeah, that's what we were asking for. We were asking for our post players to be more involved. We had it where we'd screen and roll, they'd switch, and we all stand and we'd look at each other. And we were missing opportunities to feed the post and let them play. And letting Jess and Land play means that if they like their own offense, they work hard at, what they like to do down there. But then if not, playing through that level of penetration on the block, we had a nice, guard-to-guard split, found a layup for K-Mac. So trying to find different ways to score it and playing through the bigs was absolutely the path to do that. And, Jess, game saving in a jump ball scenario. So Jess just put it all out there. And obviously we know the rebounding and giving us extra possessions. Shot a lot of free throws. Jess was obviously really valuable to us.
Cheryl, you talked about, things that maybe could have been done better, but how important are wins like this where the team has to gut it out, especially against an opponent that you could see in the postseason, or you just know games against this opponent really come down to the final minutes?
Yeah. I just share with them this series is shaping up now, 3 games that we played each other, and then obviously the series last year, not just the final series, but the regular season games. And it's a lot like 2016 and 2017 with LA and Minnesota. And what I was reminiscing with Way about was, recalling, number one, how exhausting it is to play each other. Mm-hmm. It's exhausting. At the same time, it's fun. Like competitively, it's like so fun. Mm-hmm. And like you said, the fans and, it's incredible. It's what you do it for. And it also brings out the best in you and the worst of you all at the same time. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's exhausting, because there's so much talent on both sides. And I think winning any game that you have to gut out, then you don't play your best, or your opponent makes you not play your best, you're thrilled with. And it's those sort of marks along the season that when you have it and you had to find a way, that builds for you those experiences that you're going to have when you get to the postseason. So obviously coming out with a win, obviously we valued that. We want to win our home games. We want a tiebreaker, all those things. It is just the regular season, so to speak. But, that kind of builds your mettle, if you will, for next time you're in these situations.
What impresses you about this group's mental fortitude, medal, if you will?
Like, for example, today, if you could see their faces, I thought there was some uncharacteristic hang our heads a little bit. Their self-correct, their ability to self-correct, their ability to go get through my crash outs on them. And all that was happening. And, whatever, things go your way, don't go your way, officiating, whatever the scenario is, they're just special in that they find a way to kind of get back centered to who they are. And the first 5 does it really well. It's a very, very special connected group in that way. And we're a hard team to break because of it.
And we talked about Elena's points and what she meant offensively, but she had a couple big blocks down the stretch too when you guys were looking for stops. How much did she mean to you on both sides of the ball tonight?
I mean, like she always does. I mean, Lan led the team in deflections with 5. She had 4 block shots. Big ones, like you said, players that maybe thought that they had an easy opportunity, and bam, here she comes. Her level of compete
It's just really, really special. And she doesn't stop. And, takes physically a toll on her because, as we know, she doesn't have a lot of girth to her. I mean, but she's got this right here and has this length and timing and intelligence and to compete. And so if Land doesn't play for us defensively, we're not the best defensive team in the league. There's no way. We'll be good, but Land makes us the best defensive team in the league.
Even though we know the impact of Alana Smith defensively, that's quite a statement from Cheryl Reeve right there. She continues to verbally make the case for Alana Smith to be the defensive player of the year. And it's hard to argue with that. Not as good of a defensive team. We are not leading the W in defensive rating and all these other metrics without her impact. Those 4 blocks, as she mentioned, were absolutely huge. As I bring in my partner at the WNBA Tonight studios, Alex Leipold, to talk about this one and look ahead to the New York Liberty again. But wanted to talk about this one first, Alex, and something that stood out to me from what Coach Reeve was saying, where we're maybe getting a little bit closer when you talk about the matchup between these two teams, how fun, how fulfilling, how hard they are. And I remember before, maybe it was after that first matchup, maybe after the second one, where people were asked, is this a rivalry? And I think the general consensus from both sides was we need just a little bit more of that sample of going head to head in the biggest moments where the spotlight is brightest. But it feels like today was a step in that direction, especially when I heard Coach Reeve say that.
It definitely does. I mean, this matchup has lived up to its billing. To say that would be an understatement so far this season. It's been so riveting, these 3 matchups. And yeah, they were talking about if this was a rivalry. Coach Reeve was saying, maybe not just yet, need to play a little more. I think these 3 games, you could tell from even starting with the fan bases in both arenas, you can tell that there is quite a bit of energy in both sides from both fan bases. They want to win these games against some of the 2 best teams in the league facing off here. And you can tell that there is that energy, and the players feel it too. You can tell just with how aggressive the Liberty were playing today. You could tell how much they wanted to win this one to the tune of 33 free throw attempts for the Liberty, for the Lynx, excuse me. The Liberty were playing quite aggressively. They were challenging the Lynx on the rebound battles. It was a 1 rebound edge for Minnesota there, but yeah, this has become some matchup between the Liberty and the Lynx, 2 of the best teams in the league. And like you mentioned earlier, they're still missing the 2 of the best players in the league haven't been playing in these matchups in Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart. So when those 2 players become healthy, if these teams do face off later in the postseason, there are going to be fireworks all around.
That's a great way to put it. But still one more matchup between these 2 teams. Not expecting Brianna Stewart because she's still recovering from a knee injury. This team trying to get her as healthy as possible for a playoff run, trying to repeat as WNBA champions. We're also hopeful for the progress of Nafisa Collier, who was not listed as out today, was doubtful today, was in street clothes on the sideline. You heard Kayla McBride tell me where she said she's been our biggest cheerleader, our biggest fan. I'm still laughing about one time where a couple games ago, I can't remember which one, where Cheryl Reeve said maybe this is a little humbling for her seeing the team win and continuing to do so well in her absence. She was joking, of course, but we don't know what that timeline might be. But Coach Reeve indicated today that she is getting closer and making good progress. But if we look at these matchups, even without those 2 superstar MVP caliber players, still incredibly entertaining. But this is something that Mac told me too, where you're still seeing even in this regular season matchup during this phase of play, those little intricacies. And she said, we are treating this like a series. So 1 more game to go, Alex, in a couple days on the 19th.
Yeah, it's going to be yet another fun one at the Barclays Center in New York, going back to the East Coast as the Lynx start a little 3-game road trip. And this is, Lynx are getting into the territory where they can start eyeing up the seeding for the playoffs. There's nothing guaranteed just yet, but the Lynx are now 7.5 games ahead of the Liberty, who fall to 3rd in that matchup. So the Liberty are going to be fighting tooth and nail, just like they did here this afternoon for that win. They're definitely going to want to win in front of their home crowd. But with this loss for the Liberty, they fall to 3rd place in the standings. The Atlanta Dream were tied with them on record. So the Dream are now 7 games behind Minnesota in 2nd place in the standings. The Liberty are going to be just as aggressive, I would assume, in the next matchup. We spoke with Cheryl Reeve this week during practice, and She was talking about how adjustments will be made. You never know what you'll see on any given matchup when they play in a series type of matchup like this. So there's definitely going to be some changes here and there, but all around you can expect a lot of the same stuff, I would assume, from both sides here. But Courtney Williams with such a fantastic game here, arguably one of, if not her best this season and as a Lynx with the 26 points. And they got it from all around. The bench unit was a little quiet today, only scoring 12 points, but they didn't really need it as much when the Lynx starting five was scoring the way that they were. And I want to shout out Bridget Carleton before we go anywhere else with this matchup, because she had a +8 on the floor in 19 minutes without scoring. So she had such an immense impact on the defensive end. She was providing assists, getting a key steal there in the fourth quarter as the Liberty were trying to catch the Lynx slacking on a fast break. She was able to pick it off in the end zone, as you like to call it. So Bridget Carleton with an immense performance here tonight, even though her shot wasn't falling. The Lynx are still finding ways to win without Napheesa Collier on the floor, and they'll have to do it again on Tuesday.
Hey, there's just certain plays where I just imagine them happening with pads on, because that's the kind of athletes we're talking about here. But you're right with this update here with Minnesota with a 7-7 game lead over the Atlanta Dream, who are in second, a 7.5 game lead over the New York Liberty. They'll be facing Atlanta coming up this weekend, going from New York to Atlanta coming up here. But I think just a quick soapbox moment also before we sign off here is that when I say those numbers, when Minnesota has a 7-game lead in the standings, they're 28-5. This is one of the best seasons in WNBA history, and especially when you look at the date. It is August 16th. We are winding things down. To have that kind of lead at this point, to have a +11 point differential when the next highest is 6, nearly doubling up that per game point differential, that Cheryl Reeve needs to be in each and every conversation for Coach of the Year. There's interesting cases to be made, including if you look at someone like a Natalie Nakase, what she's done with an expansion team in the Valkyries looking to make the playoffs. But this is pure dominance, and winning matters. And that is what Cheryl Reeve has done with this team. And Kayla McBride, you heard it in her interview with me too. We are so blessed to have her preparing us for each and every one of these games, and her specifically shouting out her coach too, which obviously that appreciation is always present but for her in this matchup to shout her out, I thought was significant, because you saw it in action to pull out this win shorthanded without the likely MVP on the floor as well. So I'd seen some of those conversations, and I think that Cheryl Reeve absolutely needs to be in them, certainly if not at the top, with this team at 28-5 this season. And I think we're going to sign off here after the Minnesota Lynx defeat the New York Liberty. 86-80 is the final score. 28-5 this season is the Minnesota Lynx, 17-1 here at home. For Alex Leipold, I'm Sloan Martin. Thanks so much for tuning in this afternoon. Minnesota with the 6-point victory. We'll catch you on the 19th for round 4 between these two teams here on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
iHeartRadio Did You Know? Presented by iHeartRadio. You know, what you're listening to right now. Did you know that iHeartRadio is always free to listen to your favorite stations, podcast, artist radio, playlists, and more? Yep, free to download and free to use. But there's a next level iHeartRadio experience as well. iHeartRadio All Access, where you can search and play any song, enjoy unlimited skips, download all your music to your phone to listen offline with no connection, unlimited playlist creation, and so much more. You can try it out free for 30 days and see what the iHeartRadio All Access experience is like. Why not? Open the iHeartRadio app and in settings, tap to start your free 30-day trial. Everything you love about free iHeartRadio, plus so much more with iHeartRadio All Access. iHeartRadio, #1 for music, radio, and podcasting, all in one app.
You've been listening to Lynx Basketball, brought to you by U.S. Bank, an official partner of the Minnesota Lynx, equal housing lender, member FDIC, and by Mayo Clinic. You know where to go. This has been a presentation of the Lynx Radio Network.
And talking and, you know, understanding the process of what it took for her to buy back her music rights, right? And then you heard her, she's not a sports girl, right. But her loves football. So now she's learning to love it too. So I think what we saw as fans of both sport and Taylor, that it's a genuine relationship. It was fun. It was really pure. And I also think we're going to get Taylor at a Super Bowl halftime in Super Bowl 47.
Well, she won't get paid, as you know.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to get paid.
No, she doesn't need to.
All right. So are we ever going to see the nuptials here? Is this actually going to happen? I mean,
they're going to elope, right, Monty?
They're in their mid-30s.
It just came out
here.
that she was married. I know it's going to be like that.
Right. It's going to be like, oh, done. They got married.
I mean, she's in her mid-30s now.
Yeah.
He's in his mid-30s. I mean, at some point you'll have to make that commitment, right? I mean, you have a family.
Or you don't.
You guys remember there were betting props on whether he would propose after the Super Bowl.
What are the props?
Well, no, I don't know. I just meant like after last year's Super Bowl, there were literal.
Do you get a sense that motherhood is something in her future, or is her career making it impossible?
I think if she wants to be a mom, she will. But also, I think to get a little meta here, I think a lot of women are redefining what the traditional path has been so long. It's, you get married, you have kids, but now there's so many women out there who are choosing otherwise.
All right. Well, to each his own. I'm all for that. We got a lot of NFL to get to coming up. This is Fox Sports Saturday.
We are Fox Sports.
Hi, I'm Michael from the Warren Treaty. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. Only Novo Nordisk makes FDA-approved Ozempic. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection, 0.5 milligrams.
Are you facing an unexpected financial emergency? You need WeFixMoney.com. WeFixMoney.com could help you get up to $5,000 fast. WeFixMoney.com is free to use, available 24/7, and has an A rating with a Better Business Bureau. Go to the name you trust, WeFixMoney.com. If you need emergency cash up to $5,000 for bills or anything else, type WeFixMoney.com directly in your browser. That's WeFixMoney.com. WeFixMoney.com.
iHeartRadio brings you New to View, Streaming Edition.
Looking for something to watch? Listen up. Next week on Netflix, Monday, the season 5 debut of the kids show CoComelon Lane. Next Tuesday on Netflix, the premiere of the sports docuseries America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys. Next Wednesday on Netflix, the 3rd season launch of the Australian comedy Fisk. Next Thursday, the premiere of the new Netflix political drama Hostage. Next Friday on Netflix, the launch of the new adult animated series Long Story Short, as well as the documentary film The Truth about Jussie Smollett. Next Monday on Hulu, the premiere of the new reality competition series Are You My First? Next Tuesday on Hulu, the debut of the docuseries Stalking Samantha, 13 Years of Terror. Next Wednesday on Hulu, the launch of the new drama series The Twisted Tale of Amanda Knox, starring Grace Van Patten. Next Thursday on HBO Max, the return of the superhero comedy Peacemaker, starring John Cena. Next Friday on Hulu, the debut of the new action film Eenie Meenie, starring Samara Weaving. Next Wednesday on Amazon Prime Video, the debut of the romantic drama film The Map That Leads to You. Next Thursday on Sundance Now, the 3rd season premiere of Blinded. Next Friday on Amazon Prime Video, the 2nd season launch of the reality competition show 007 Road to a Million. Next Friday over on Apple TV Plus, the debut of the 3rd season of the sci-fi drama Invasion. And over on Peacock, the streaming premiere of the animated film Night of the Zoopocalypse.
And that's New to View on iHeartRadio. Happy binging.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
On September 16th, 1961, Betty and Barney Hill cut their vacation short and decided to drive home.
They were having difficulty finding their way around the city, and Barney decided he just wanted to drive home, knowing that they would arrive at their home on New Hampshire's seacoast at about 2 o'clock in the morning.
What they saw that night in the New Hampshire sky would change everything.
I began walking across the highway, looking up at the object with the binoculars, putting them down, shaking my head, saying, well, this just can't be true. I don't believe it.
A light in the sky.
At first she thought of a falling star, but she realized that falling stars don't fall upwards, and that's what this one was doing.
2 years later, the Hills would undergo hypnosis.
He's trying to start the car, it won't start. And the medic coming towards us. And I think, well, I can't get away from this. If I get the car door open, I can run in the woods and hide.
That became known the world over.
Dr. Simon gave me a post-hypnotic suggestion. He said if I wanted to, I could sketch the star map. But if I didn't want to, I didn't have to. So about 2 weeks later, I sketched it.
Their account has been scrutinized.
Under the influence of hypnosis, especially if you're highly hypnotizable, you are even more susceptible to contamination and distortion.
By scientists, skeptics, theorists, and believers.
She wound up building a total of more than 20 three-dimensional models and was able to find one and only one pattern that matched what Betty had drawn.
What happened on that night journey in 1961? Were the Hills confused about what they saw, or did they have an encounter with beings not of this world? From iHeartRadio and Aaron Mahnke's Grim and Mild, this is Strange Arrivals.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one.
We are Fox Sports.
What you need to know.
Ashton Jeanty putting in the work for Las Vegas.
Ashton single back set. They're going to give it to him again. He's going to try to bounce outside and get a push. Did he have enough to get in? The ball comes out. The ball comes out. Is it a touchdown or not? We're waiting on the call.
It was a touchdown.
It is a touchdown from the side judge here. Ashton Jeanty, his first touchdown in this building as a member of the Las Vegas Raiders.
You heard it on the Raiders radio network. It's early in the second quarter. They're tied against the 49ers at 10 apiece. Jeanty has 7 carries, 33 yards on a touchdown. San Francisco responded with a Jeff Wilson touchdown. So that's how we got to 10 apiece. The Browns defeated the Eagles 22-13. Dylan Gabriel 13 of 18 for 143 yards and 1 interception. In baseball, Francisco Lindor with an RBI double, and the Mets are up on the Mariners 1-0, bottom of the third inning. Red Sox beating the Marlins 2-0, bottom of the third. I'm Auntie Bolaños.
Fox Sports Saturday is up.
Yeah. One time we gon' give it to you like this. Yeah, like this. Yeah, like this.
The plays, the sounds of the game, the interviews, the breaking news, the top stories. When it goes down, we'll cover it here. Your Fox Sports Saturday is right now. Now, live from the Fox Sports Radio studios, here's Nikki K and Steve Hartman.
Yeah, rolling along here on another busy Sports Saturday, Fox Sports Saturday. We're broadcasting live from the Fox Sports Radio studios. Coming up later in this hour, we're going to be joined by our NFL insider, Adam Kaplan. He's been touring all kinds of training camps. He will give us all the latest coming up later on in this hour. So, Nikki, we were just talking about certain NFL teams where, and we know this every year, Nikki, there are going to be, and this is every year, 4 or 5 teams that will grossly underperform from what were preseason predictions, and there will be 4 or 5 teams that are way better than anyone could have thought. So every year it's like, okay, we know it's going to happen. The question is, which ones? Which are the teams that are going to underperform, and which are the teams that are going to overperform? I'll give you an example. So I'm looking at the over-unders. Mm-hmm. You know, they have the over-under wins. And the most curious division with over-under wins is the NFC North.
I was just thinking about the NFC North on my drive in.
So you think about it, you had the Lions won 15 games last year. The Vikings won 14 games last year. The Packers won 11, and then the Bears were awful. But if you look at the preseason, they got like the Lions at 10.5. They have the Vikings at 9.5. They have the Packers at 9.5. And then they have the Bears at 8.5. I'm like, okay, so you think
what does Vegas know?
The problem is they know a lot.
Yes.
That's the thing. And you're saying, wait a second.
What are we missing? Yeah, what are we missing in the some things
like the Vikings at 9.5 over. I mean, like the whole world say over. They're going to win 10 games. Come on, they won 14 with Sam Darnold. They're not going to win 10 games.
That Lions line feels disrespectful.
What do they know? Now, one thing about the three teams that did make the playoffs last year, the Lions, Packers, and the Vikings, they all got embarrassed in their only playoff game. Like with all the hype going into the playoffs about this NFC North and everything, once they got to showtime, they all fizzled badly. So, like you just said, what does Vegas know?
They know everything.
Well, do you believe the Bears are going to be better this year? I mean, forget the three teams at the top. Are the Bears now, have they narrowed the gap with the hiring of Ben Johnson?
It's so interesting to me because honestly, from afar, I feel like the preseason is a whole lot of nothing, right? When you go to practices, get updates at training camp, it's like there's nothing really to talk about. Yet the Bears, there's something percolating there in terms of what Ben Johnson's trying to do, establish his new culture and regime. And yet Caleb, I'm curious, he sat out the preseason game. I'm not sure what's going on there. And is Caleb going to be able to, like you talk about Ben Johnson closing the gap, is Caleb going to be able to cross that gap with him?
Well, again, I would look at it this way with preseason games. And I would, something you said earlier, look, they should eliminate all preseason games. And I think eventually once they expand to an 18-game schedule, which I'm going to guess is going to be spread over 20 weeks where you get 2 buys they'll expand rosters a little bit to get them through an 18-game
and then
season.
Get Super Bowl to that holiday weekend.
Something
February,
like that.
Right?
Something along those lines. But, they'll drag it out because you make more weekends available to the networks.
Exactly.
And why settle for 18 weeks? 20 weeks of games. Yeah. So the more money. But every coach would tell you controlled scrimmages are way more beneficial for these teams because they can work with another team saying we need to work on A, B, and C. And they say, yeah, we need to do 1, 2, 3. And we'll work together to work on areas of need as opposed to playing a preseason game. But that being said, who should play in a preseason game? Well, I mean, rookies, obviously, to sort of get their feet wet, get into an NFL uniform, sort of get used to things. And then teams like the Bears, where you have a coach coming in with a new system and you have Caleb Williams as your quarterback, yeah, you need to get reps. Why does Mahomes play every year in the preseason? Because he likes to get some reps in. I know the Chiefs still hold their breath like, but he demands to be out there every single preseason to get some reps. So like you say, with Caleb Williams right now, why is he not getting every possible chance to get used to whatever Ben Johnson has introduced to that Bears offense?
And the reports coming out of Bears camp about Caleb Williams have not been great. So I'm just really, I'm intrigued because I do think, Ben Johnson is capable of turning things around in Chicago. I think the fan base is really excited that they landed him, right? But is QB1 going to be able to keep up?
Well, I mean, and again, how good is Caleb Williams?
The Bruins and us are kind of. I see our little horns growing.
Look, the guy won a Heisman Trophy,
right?
And the next season, his numbers were certainly maybe not quite to that level, but they weren't bad. They had no defense. I mean, when you're losing games,
there's a lot going on around him that wasn't necessarily his.
Are you going to talk about me again? I've already said to you, Lincoln Riley, you're the most overrated coach in college football. I don't have to repeat myself over and over again. I've said that publicly a million times. Overrated. Lincoln Riley, thank you. There it is. He wanted to call me, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to talk to you about it. We've already made that clear. Okay, I don't have to repeat myself over and over again. Did I say Lincoln Riley is the most overrated coach in college football? I'll say it again.
I'm pleading the fifth on this one.
Are you a Lincoln Riley fan? I'm not. I won't take you down the path if you don't want to go there.
I've known Lincoln since he was an offensive coordinator at Oklahoma.
Right.
And so I've it's been fun to watch him rise through the ranks of the college football world, and it was really cool to see what he and Baker Mayfield were able to accomplish together in Norman. And, he's here at USC, and I'm curious how much longer of a leash he's going to have with this program if they don't win and do so convincingly this season.
Well, they certainly thought replacing Clay Helton with Lincoln Riley was going to be a major step up. And that first season, it looked like it was going to be that. Until the Pac-12 championship game, getting blown out by Utah, and then one of the most outrageous bowl game collapses of all time. And since